Yo, we back, baby. That's right. The D-Gens are in charge tonight. How's it going, everybody? I am Zenith from the D-Gen Roundtable, and RG3 is at Burning Man. So guess who's taking over the FN Hangout tonight? It's myself and my trusty compatriots when they do show up, or you, if you choose to hop on the stream at some point in the near future. The stream link should be in the description down below. If you want to hop on stream, all you have to do is jump in the green room by clicking that link, and then have some sort of verification so we just know who you are, and you're not gonna try to come on screen and flash us with something inappropriate. And after that, we'll just bring you on, hang out as much as you like. You don't have to stay for the whole thing if you don't want to. Come on, talk about what you like, talk about what you don't, and then get out of here. But other than that, yeah, welcome to the show. We are very, very happy to be here and very grateful for to RG3 for tossing us the keys to the car while he's gone. Every time he does this, I just imagine that one scene in Ferris Bueller's Day Off where he gives the Ferrari keys to the valet guys. Then they pull out and you have the Space Opera 2001 music as they're jumping it over the bridge. It's like, yeah, that's us, baby. That's us. Alrighty, Mrs. Producer, if you don't mind. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. McGettit, our fantastic producer from DJ Roundtable, is the producer for tonight. So show her some love in the comments if you appreciate everything she's doing, because we certainly do as well. Other than that, Mrs. Producer, if you don't mind, can we bring up my counterpart, my partner in crime?
Wow,
the man in the chair himself. Will Stevenson.
I'm in a chair. I don't normally stream from chairs. I normally stand while streaming. But if we just finished 2 hours of DJ Roundtable, we're probably gonna go for another hours or two over here on the FN Hangout. So I figure I'm gonna fucking sit down for this one because I ain't about to stand for 4 hours while streaming. That shit gets silly. For the folks who don't know, we did a 6 hour stream yesterday, Zenith and I, where we read the damn
we read 199 pages of all of the legal documentation from Richard Hart, the SEC response to Richard Hart, and the Richard Hart response to the response to Richard Hart. So that was a lot of legal words, but we got through them all, and we even had some friends show up along the way. Shout out to our good buddy Nuclear Herbs. He is by far the foremost PulseChain lawyer or person who probably understands it best, to be honest. So before we get going, Mrs. Producer, if you don't mind, I have a screen share for you. There you go. Everybody in the audience, go follow Nuclear Herbs. He is a friend of the channel, friend of ours, and he does fantastic work. And I'm not going to spoil anything here, but there's a decent chance you might find him at a PulseChain tour near you sometime in the future. So show up, show him some love, and let him know that we hear him. And we appreciate all he does, because he does the PulseChain Law School, and he has been breaking down everything going on with this case. I'm going to have to find it here, but I don't know if he's the one that runs it. But there's also this account, SEC versus RH Updates. The @ is @SEC_RH. That is the one. That is an account that posts purely Richard Hart versus the SEC updates. So if you have been trying to find any of the documents or the documents that are not publicly available, but you just want to know that they exist and they're being filed, this account follows all of that. Fantastic info, fantastic news. Give them a follow if you can. Cool. Other than that, speaking of PulseChain tour, Mrs. Producer, our good friends over at Discourse Syndicate have asked us to try to help sell some tickets for an event in March, a little thing known as the Pulse 369 Conference, aka the premier PulseChain and Hexican event of the year. If you have not been to one of these before, it is an absolute blast. It is a wild, wild time. We started off the event, the conference last year at Top Golf, and we reserved the place for like 2-3 hours, and then everyone was having so much fun. It's such a good time. We just like kept chatting and hanging out and ordering more beer, and the staff was like, hey, you guys need to go. And then we were like, yeah, we'll go. They had to do that like 3 more times before people started moving out the door, just because everyone was so excited to hang out and just be with each other again. So it was a good time. Great culmination event with the conference going on. Rented out a private club just for the Hexicans with an open bar. That was an absolute blast. There was the absolute who's who of all the influencers, creators, project founders. Everybody was there. If you had questions for any of these people, you could literally walk up, shake the hand, say hello, and ask them what you wanted to ask. But other than that, yeah, it was also 4 days of straight partying, so prepare yourselves. Prepare yourselves. But other than that, Mrs. Producer, we do have a little special something. So when you're ready, let's sell some tickets.
Roll the tape.
Are you talking about our video? Because we don't have that over here.
Oh no!
Yeah, I was talking. Ooh. Can we up? Can we?
No,
add
you
it?
can. If you can pull up, you share your screen and pull it up. We can do it that way.
We can do it that way. Apologies for the technical delays, folks.
Oh, this is fun.
Yeah, sorry about that, everyone.
Hang on. Oh, I got it here somewhere. But in the meantime,
I got it.
We'll see who. Oh, you're gonna pull it up first. All right. Well, I'll fill the airwaves with sound until then. So for the folks that don't know, or when I say we, Zenith is the one who created a fucking kick-ass commercial for the PulseChain tour that's going to be going on for the 2025. And the theme of the PulseChain is the Masters Golf Tournament.
Well, that's one of the events at the end that I am particular and very excited for. But other than that, we may have footage of last year's tournament if it ever happened. So here we go. Let me know if we are missing the sound.
I cannot hear it.
Can
you hear it? There should be like that little box for share screen where it like auto gives you the option to share the sound along with it, I think.
So I pulled this up in Windows Player and not my the Chrome thing that I usually do. There might be a way to jerry-rig this. Stand by. Keep talking, Will. Entertain the people, please. Do a chat shout out.
I'm gonna go ahead and hey guys, it's time for your guys' favorite part of the show over here on the Discord Syndicate, the chat shout out. So, Mrs. Producer, if you would be so kind, let's go ahead and shout out some of the folks who are in the audience. We got Crispy Man saying, "Let's go now." You're fucking A right, Crispy. Good to see you here, broski. Next up, we got one Hexy Mofo. Hey, Hexicans. Hey, bro, what's going on? Or broette. Either way, all good. Next, we got Moondog with his hashtag love and light. Always saying love and light. We love to see you, Moondog. Great to have you here, broski. Welcome, welcome. Next, we also got Troy Miller, Super Team Unite, Trump, JFK Jr., Musk, and head of crypto regulation, Richard Hart. Ooh, that would be an interesting, fun little dream team, bro. We might have to come back and talk about that one. We've also got the StreamYard link.
I have a Twitter meme from Elon Musk to share at some point as well, so stand by for that.
Okay, excellent. All right, and then next we got Johnny Chaos requesting that we don't wreck the ship. So no promises there. You get what you get when you got a couple degens driving, but we'll see what we can do here. The Hexy Mofo says SEC is losing. I agree. Oh, Sandy Beach also says hello. I don't see that. Whoa, how'd you get? Okay, there we are. I see where you're at. You're getting first chats from everybody. So Sandy Beach says hello. Hello to you too, Sandy Beach. And then Acadecimated says evening all. And then Crypto A, let's sell this effing thing out. You're fucking A right, bro. Get those tickets before August 1st, because then you guys can get those tickets at a 36.9% discount. Zenith, have you got the thing ready to roll?
I am ready. We've jerry-rigged it, but we've got it. Here we go.
You've got... Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the PulseChain Tour Masters Golf Tournament 2024. Zenith is making his approach to the green on this sudden death playoff between himself and Reginald Gerald III, who already completed his putt for birdie. Zenith needs to make this putt right here in order for his dreams of winning that jacket to stay alive. Let's see what he does. Oh, he fucked it. He missed. He whiffed. He's a loser. I repeat, RG3 wins. RG3 wins. Don't make mistakes like that guy. Get ready early for PulseChain Tour Las Vegas 2025, including the Pulse Masters Golf Tournament from March 6th through the 9th. Sign up early and use the code DGEN at checkout before September 1st to get 36.9% off all of your tickets. Don't miss out on all the fun from the star-studded conferences, golf tournament, and nightly events in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada with all of your friends and favorite Pulse and Hex creators. We cannot wait to see you in Vegas, so until then, DGen responsibly.
DGen responsibly. I like it. Did you literally just like pull it up on YouTube and then like cross-play it off of YouTube live there? That's fucking brilliant.
Who would do something like that?
That's brilliant. That's good problem solving. I like it.
True.
I was about to say, dude, you're showing our show.
Not self-promoting too much. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, PulseChain Tour Las Vegas 2025 is ready. Just go down to events. Go over to here. By the way, Richard Hart hearing October 24th happening in New York City. You can still get your tickets here if you would like to do so. This is an event on the 25th. We have the New York City hearing. And then we have the actual event that RG3 is putting on right here, Protecting Crypto Rights Seminar, a Crypto Community Approach. There you go, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on October 25th. That's Friday. So the hearing is on a Thursday. This is the next day on Friday. But then other than that, the big one, the big daddy of them all, the Pulse 369 conference in Vegas. This year, they're hosting it at the Flamingo. So if anybody knows about Vegas, the Flamingo is on the Strip. It's not the most expensive hotel, which is kind of nice, but at the same time, it is still a very, very nice hotel. And they have a fantastic pool, I got to say. So that's top notch. Besides that, it is right in the middle of all the hotels on the Strip. So the location is primo, I got to say. Primo. Other than that, yeah. General admission, $369. Premium admission, there's no details for this specifically on the website, but last year what ended up happening was you have a premium swag bag of goodies, including some NFT stuff and maybe a t-shirt, that kind of thing. And then also there's usually a VIP dinner after the conference on that Friday. And then the VIP Elite Edition, there is a VIP day that they did last year. I imagine they're going to do something similar. Again, this is not my event. I'm just trying to help promote it and hype it. And if you buy tickets for either this or the golf tournament, I do believe if you buy your tickets before September, before the end of August, and you use one of the many community codes, so ours is DGen, I believe RG3's is just RG3. So whoever you want to use to support, use their code, and then go ahead and pick up your tickets at a steep, steep discount, 37% effectively. So this is the Pulse Masters Golf Tournament. You can buy a ticket for yourself. You can buy a VIP ticket, which the VIP ticket has a VIP brunch before the tournament. And then you can also do foursome tickets or VIP foursomes. Or if you just want to be a spectator and attend the VIP breakfast beforehand, you can also do that. Plenty of options. I myself will be going to this one, and I am very, very excited about this. I may be practicing already, although we got a lot of work to figure out with the driver.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you put together a golf team?
I've not put together a golf team.
Okay.
So
are they called golf teams? I'm letting my ignorance show.
It depends on what kind of a tournament you're on. This is a very non-serious tournament, I imagine. So what they're probably going to do is do a like a four-man scramble. What that means is that you are part of a group of four. That is your team. And then instead of everyone playing all of their shots individually and then adding your scores at the end, you play best ball. So everybody hits the same shot every time, and then you go and play the best shot that you all had, and then everyone hits that one as well until you make it to the pin. So everybody hits a shot off the tee box. Whoever has the best drive, everybody goes to that ball, picks up all the other ones, goes to the best ball, hits that onto the green, hopefully. And then once you're on the green, pretty much everybody has a chance to putt. So theoretically, there should be a lot of birdies, maybe an eagle here or there, but also a lot of pars. It's a very low scoring format. It usually goes pretty quick, which is nice considering it's a lot of people. But at the same time, it's also a lot of fun because you're like not hitting bad shots or not playing the bad shots that you did hit.
Oh, that's interesting.
You only play the good ones.
All right. That's interesting. That's good. That would be very beneficial for me because I'm not good at golf.
True. You don't have to be good at golf. You just got to show up and have fun and hope that you have one person on the team that can at least carry, and then one of the other three will help make up for any mistakes that they make, and you should be fine. But yeah, excellent. Again, folks, you can get the tickets now. This is for March 6th through the 9th of 2025, so next calendar year. Go ahead and use the code DGen at checkout before the end of August, and you can get 37% off your tickets. Otherwise, I think the discount's going to go down to about 10%. So, yeah, there you go. We love this event. I went to it last year. I've also gone to Vegas for a bunch of other Moon Gang events for the Crypto Mindset course, and that's been a blast as well. And I'm very, very much looking forward to every time I go back to Vegas to hang out with Hexicans, PulseChain, and anybody else in the Moon Gang.
It'll be a good time.
It will be the best time, good sir.
It'll be the best of times. It'll be the worst of times, but without the worst of times part.
True. I do want to do a bit of a recap. I don't want to reread all of the documents, but yeah. I do want to ask, what do you think? Tell you what, there was the bit of
good friend Johnny Chaos did a pretty good recap. I don't know if you've seen his comment and his little tweet there, but I've got it pulled up if we want to do a little share screen here. Shout out to Johnny Chaos. Mrs. Producer, if you don't mind pulling up my screen share here.
196 pages summed up in one meme.
Yep. Here it is. There
Oh
you
my
go,
gosh.
ladies and germs. This is the SEC right here. Oh, wow. So here's a quick summary of the SEC complaint. Yes, everything was designed to fail all 4 legs of the Howey test, and it does. And you have no jurisdiction over people that don't even live in the United States. Makes you mad, doesn't it? Shout out to Johnny Chaos, and shout out to his meme explorations and everything. So excellent, good stuff.
We're not going to do the whole thing, but I do want to share at least the preliminary statement from the Richard Hart reply.
Okay.
So this is the official document. Try to pull up nice and big. So this is the document that was filed yesterday, August 22nd. This is in response to the SEC's response. The SEC's response was technically created on July 8th, but it wasn't made publicly available until Richard Hart did yesterday. So thanks, SEC. Great job there. But this is the response to the SEC's response to Richard Hart. The generalized summing of the SEC response is that they used a lot of overly broad case law and just applications of what they thought were violations of the law. And then what you see in this response is that the Richard Hart team is honestly worth their weight in gold. They do a very, very good job of being very specific and showing that, no, the SEC is being too overbroad and overreaching, and they're making claims that Richard Hart has no obligation to follow these made-up things that the SEC is kind of pulling out of thin air. So other than that, let's get to the preliminary statement. So here we go.
All right.
Defendant Richard Hart's motion to dismiss lays bare numerous glaring legal deficiencies in Plaintiff Security and Exchange Commission's slapdash complaint, a pleading consistent with the SEC's ongoing haphazard campaign to punish people who create or interact with blockchain technologies. At the apex of these improper efforts is the current attempt to muzzle Mr. Hart using a narrative riddled with factual inaccuracies, cherry-picked statements, and misguided legal theories. Tacitly admitting its inability to defeat Mr. Hart's arguments for dismissal, the SEC now lobs in new putative evidence, twists its timelines to suggest that the alleged offerings were promoted long after they had concluded, peppers its opposition to Mr. Hart's motion with unpled, unsupported allusions to non-existent U.S. connections, and conjures up new allegations found nowhere in the original complaint. None of this can salvage the SEC's complaint, which should be dismissed with prejudice in its entirety. First, the SEC says almost nothing to rectify the complaint's jurisdictional shortcomings and instead admits the complaint's insufficiencies by resorting to new purported evidence. But the SEC's 11th hour facts still fail because they either post-date the alleged offerings at issue, bear no relevance to the jurisdictional inquiry, or both. Second, the SEC attempts to overcome Morrison, that's case law, Morrison's bar of extraterritoriality by relying on authorities involved detailed U.S.-centric allegations not present here. Lacking such allegations, the SEC litters its opposition with references to the United States not found in the complaint or otherwise substantiated. The SEC cannot simply wish domestic transactions into existence. Third, the SEC fails to salvage its incoherent fraud claims, instead merely repeating its conclusory refrain that Mr. Hart's conduct was inherently deceptive. Alleged uses of funds that do not comport with the SEC's preferences are not deceptive if no representations whatsoever were made about them. The SEC's incredulity and indignation that individuals would partake in the transactions at issue do not approach a viable fraud claim in the absence of anything fraudulent. Fourth, the SEC misunderstands Mr. Hart's argument that an investment contract requires a continuing obligation, whether as part of a formal contract or an informal transaction or scheme. The complaint does not allege any such continuing obligation, so there is no investment contract here, and the federal securities laws cannot apply. Critically, the opposition identifies no case that says otherwise. Rather than address the point, the SEC spends pages responding to a hypothetical Howey test. Howey is another case law test. A hypothetical Howey test argument that Mr. Hart does not make in his motion. Building a straw house and then blowing it down does not address the legal argument Mr. Hart raises before this court. Fifth, the SEC fails to grapple at all with Mr. Hart's First Amendment arguments. It ignores the unconstitutionality of cobbling together purported securities entirely by cherry-picking words from hundreds of hours of public commentary of protected speech, resulting in in content-based discrimination unsupported by a compelling government interest. The SEC also overlooks the unconstitutionality of its proposed injunction, which would dismantle blockchain-based public speech and impose a prior restraint on Mr. Hart's future speech by prohibiting from interacting with communities that depend on blockchains for the exchange of ideas. There you go.
I did a dirty thing while you were researching that, and I had ChatGPT rewrite me a summary of Richard Hart's reply memorandum in the voice of Billy Mays.
Oh,
It's fucking hilarious.
Do it.
Oh my
Do
God. Hey there, folks. Billy Mays here with an amazing legal document you just have to hear about. It's Richard Hart's reply memorandum of law in support of his motion to dismiss the SEC's complaint. And let me tell you, this is one powerful argument. First off, the SEC's got nothing on Richard Hart when it comes to personal jurisdiction. They tried to claim he's got enough ties to the U.S. to drag him down in court. But guess what? Richard Hart's team fires back saying the SEC's evidence is weak. They say the SEC's relying on activities that either happen after the fact or just don't connect him to the U.S. at all. Bam! That's how you crush an argument. It goes on for like
I can hear the slap chop sound effects.
Bro. Yep. And so I'm gonna read the second and the final paragraph. And that's not all. If you act now, Richard's team is even throwing in an opposition to any attempt by the SEC to amend their complaint. They're saying the SEC has had enough chances and it's time to close the door on this case for good. There you have it, folks. Richard Hart's memorandum of law, and it's a real showstopper. So stay tuned and watch this legal battle unfold because it's going to be one for the books. Billy Mays approved. And that's the I'm gonna fucking copy this and save this for posterity. This is fucking beautiful, bro. Oh my God.
Just wanted to actually have the preliminary statement on air, just so people know that this is what it looks like. If you want to go find it, go check out the SEC Richard Hart Twitter account. They have a Dropbox with all of the different links, or if you just go over to Richard Hart's page himself, he has a single thread that has each of the Dropbox links as well. So you can find the original documents in their entirety available for you for free.
Yep.
You can go read them, check it out. And it even has all the citations. So if you want to go look at the case law, you absolutely can. I wish you Godspeed because that is a lot of case law to learn. Maybe ChatGPT can help assist you with that, but you might be missing some context. The point of the matter here, though, is this, that I think this is a very, very good rebuttal to what appears to be weak claims. And the SEC kind of has a bit of a losing record right now. Specifically, the most recent ruling was XRP, where they tried to civilly sue XRP, claiming $2 billion with a B, billion in damages, and were only awarded like $100 million. Which, granted, $100 million is nothing to shake a stick at, but that's like almost like just a little over 5% of the original total they were going for.
Well, then right before that, they had the other one where they lost an entire section of the SEC. They had to close down an entire branch. Like people resigned. What was that one again?
Yeah, that is the debt box case.
Debt box, that's what it was. I wanted to say DARPA, but I was like, that's defense. That's not the right one.
That is not DARPA. Is something else entirely. But yeah, the debt box case was a case where it almost was an entire wing or detachment of the SEC that kind of acted so maliciously that typically courts, whenever the federal government gets sued, they're going to be like, oh, well, you won, so we're not going to punish you, but we're not going to give you damages because the government was just trying to do its job. Oh, no. No. In this case, they were like, the government acted so badly in this one that we are going to award damages to the defendants. We are going to give these people money to cover their losses and a little bit of time in court. That case was so egregious because the SEC misrepresented evidence in an attempt to get an order to freeze funds of customers. They claimed it was nefarious foreign transactions when it really was just U.S. citizens using the program itself. So they fraudulently claimed it was something that was not. And when questioned about it by the judge to approve the order, they doubled down and misconstrued it again. So if you go check out Nuclear Herbs, he has a piece on this one, and he does the judge to English translation, and he breaks it down. He's like, ooh, this sounds aggressive legally because it is. The judge is basically telling these people to get bent. And there's a quote in there where he's like, "You have single-handedly wiped out all of the goodwill built up by this organization over the last 20, 30 years. Now I cannot trust what your organization has to say, and I have to scrutinize it to a new level." It was so bad that the two agents involved in this one, they resigned, which is corporate for it. They got fired, but were offered a chance to save face. And the director of the Salt Lake District office for the SEC, they also resigned, and that office was shut down as a result of this.
Oh
Johnny Chaos is correct on this one, and gross misuse of power is very accurate.
This is so fucking beautiful.
It is. I apologize if I'm just rehashing all the stuff that I rehash every time I hop on here.
No, I mean,
but I'm going to keep hammering it home. This is important. This is big, and it's public. People are trying to ignore it, but this is public, baby. It's out there.
Yeah, it could just be that it could be that there's folks who are just now hearing it for the first time, like it, and for the folks who have heard it before, it's nothing new. So it's good. It's good to rehash. We're gonna probably that's one of the things about being a content creator or someone that speaks on the internet is you find yourself, at least this is what I've heard, is you find yourself just repeating the same thing over and over again all the time, and people still don't they still don't take it home. They still don't understand. They're not going to watch every single one of your streams. So it behooves you to repeat yourself quite often.
Exactly. I can get on here every day and tell people to go to PulseChainConference.com and use code DGEN at checkout to get 36.9% off their tickets. But I'm just going to have to keep repeating that until they do it.
Basically, that's a good plan. And you guys could also go up here to check out our dgenroundtable.com. We're live every 8 p.m. Eastern, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. I've added this cool little thing to my background screen for whenever we
All right, enough shameless shilling. Let's get back to the Richard Hart case, because this is the Hexicans channel after all. This is the hangout for the Hexicans. So I think this is an update that we've been waiting for a long time. Partly just because this timeline's long because it operates at the speed of government courts, which are slow. But also the SEC was not very nice, and they didn't publicly release their statement. And instead, they pretty much had to wait until Richard Hart was allowed to release it publicly today, when it should have been released like over a month and a half ago. So this is long in the works, and keep in mind, the next update we're going to get for this is the actual hearing in New York, unless there's some sort of decision made by the judge between now and then. So October 24th is the next milestone for this case, when we have the live hearing in front of the judge in New York City. Again, Richard Hart's probably not going to be there, just his legal team, but still, it would be kind of cool if he showed up, not going to lie.
It would be. I wouldn't expect him to come back to U.S. soil. I think he's said a couple times that he doesn't plan on ever coming back to the U.S. So it would be cool, but I don't expect it. And it's good not to expect things from people. No expectations.
True. He might be kind of famous for repeatedly saying that and then just having the SEC ignore it in their claim.
Yeah. Exactly.
I do want to break down that.
Johnny's absolutely right, though. There's also going to be something around 200 Hexicans probably over at this courtroom. I know I'm going to be there. As far as I'm aware, you're going to be there as well. So, there we go. Yeah, look at that. Look, I'm looking at my green screen right now, but it looks like I'm looking at you. Oh, maybe I should move my webcam to the other side of my boom, baby. There we go. Fucking friendship. I love it. Aloha, Chris. Oh my God.
We're all right. Chris.
That's
Topher.
the black version. The black version of Richard Hart. That's awesome. Yep. I love it.
By the way, to Johnny Chaos's comment, for all the Hexicans that do plan on showing up, please go to the PulseChain Tour website to specifically go to the RSVP for the hearing itself. If we can provide advance notice to the court about how many people are coming, they can appropriately give the correct size room for the amount of people that wish to attend the hearing. Also, keep in mind, the hearing is probably going to be very tight on security, so to speak. So you're probably going to have to leave your phone in a lockbox out in the lobby or something, or just leave it in your car. It's going to be very, I guess, somber is probably the correct word, or professional more than that. So if there ever was an event to put on the suit and tie for, it's probably this one, because we want to, I think it would do the community very good to put on a very good face, act well, and show that we're serious about this, and we're serious about all the things that Richard Hart is creating, and all the values that are purported with what's going on here, whether it's freedom of speech, whether it's trying to show that you're serious about delayed gratification through staking on Hex, whatever it is.
Mrs. Producer, would you be so kind as to pull up my share screen? I've got what it looks like. So the folks that don't know, check it out. You go to pulsechaintour.com/events or /events RG3.com/Richard Hart NYC hearing. And
RSVP,
this is where you go to
right
RSVP.
there.
You just click on this little button, which I'll go ahead and do it now. I've already done it, but if I were to do it, I would type in my name and then my email and then boom diada and then submit. And that's it. So I'll go ahead and I'll just resubmit it anyways. biggerbetterDinnerplate@gmail.com. That's how you guys can totally not get in communications with me. But yeah, it's literally just that easy. So I've RSVP'd for this event. This is probably my third or fourth time doing it right now. So yeah, it's just that simple. You go to the PulseChain Tour website, and then if you don't know how to do that, that's just PulseChainTour.com. You go to events, click on that bad boy up there, find the Richard Hart hearing in NYC. Now this part's a little bit tricky for those of you that don't know. This is the link right here, these words, right? So you have to click on this part. If you click on this, nothing happens, just highlights the words. If you click on this, that's what brings you over into the correct page. And boom, there we go. 157 other people have already RSVP'd. This is where it's going to be going. They've got a fancy schmancy little map thing. So for those of you who have never been to New York before, it's over in the not the Bronx, excuse me. This
Brooklyn,
is Long
baby.
Island. Yeah, this is Brooklyn. Yep, Bronx is way up there. We don't care about them. None of that. This is over in Brooklyn. This is right across the bridge. So you guys will be just right next to all the craziness happening on Brooklyn Bridge. And I think that there's LaGuardia right over here. It might be
correct.
It might be it's LaGuardia or it's JFK.
I think it's LaGuardia.
Yeah, I don't remember. There's several places that you can go chill out at over in New York City. But that's the major airport. So yeah, not too terribly far from everything going on. You're right next to Midtown Manhattan. You're right next to frickin' Newark, New Jersey, if you really want to go over there. I built a tower over here somewhere. So good stuff. But yeah, that's all I got. I'm going to go ahead and close out screen share, Mrs. Producer.
Tell you what, Mrs. Producer, you could actually switch over to my screen share because I wanted to highlight Johnny Chaos's comment that says someone needs to tip off the local news. Double tap us on what you mean by that. Like, just try to get some like press coverage going on, because I think we can definitely try, especially if we invite people to maybe some of the cool stuff we do. They might be a little more enticed to show up. But also, we've been picked up by crypto news, this is from Cointelegraph 22 hours ago. We have the SEC opposes Richard Hart's bid to dismiss $1 billion, with a B, billion, securities lawsuit. I'm going to read it off for you. It's not too long. The SEC hit back at Richard Hart's bid to dismiss its lawsuit, claiming it has its sway over him as his alleged illicit security sales targeted the U.S. The United States Security Exchange Commission has pushed back on Hex founder Richard Hart's bid to toss its $1 billion security suit, aka the motion to dismiss, arguing it has the full authority to bring the case to Hart. Quote, in his motion asking the court to dismiss all the claims against him, Hart disregards the well-pleaded allegations of the complaint and the applicable law, end quote. The SEC said in its opposing argument filed in a New York federal court in August of 22nd, but dated for July 8th. In a dismissal motion filed on August 22nd that was shared with the SEC on April 8th, Richard Hart, real name Richard Schuler, claimed the regulator has no sway over him as he lives abroad and is not alleged to have set foot in the United States during the relevant period. It added that the SEC didn't allege Hart engaged in any conduct directed at the United States and didn't claim any United States-based activities, entities, employees, contracts, payment accounts, marketing efforts, or travel associated with Mr. Hart. We have an excerpt here. It says, second, the SEC has not plausibly alleged a domestic securities transaction. The Supreme Court has held that the securities laws generally do not apply extraterritorially. The action exemplifies the SEC's disregard for that principle. Congress has not established the SEC as a global blockchain regulator, but the SEC in this case operates it as it has. The SEC hit back, claiming he directed many of his promotional efforts specifically towards investors in the United States, as Hart twice appeared virtually before a Las Vegas conference in March and September 2022 to promote Hex, PulseChain, and PulseX, which it claims are unregistered securities. It also alleged Hart was interviewed in person on a Miami-based podcast in August of 2022. This was the Fresh and Fit podcast. I want to say Dollar Cost Crypto was also on this stream.
Yep,
where he promoted...
And also, shout out
was
to
Charlie
Gary
there?
Woods.
Oh, Gary was there too.
Yep.
Nice. Where he promoted Hex and Pulse. The SEC said at least one US-based developer helped make Hex, PulseChain, and PulseX. Cars, watches, and a big black diamond. The SEC's latest rebuttal repeated one of its central allegations from when it sued Hart in July of 2023. It claimed he used millions of dollars of PulseChain investor funds to buy luxury items, including watches, cars, and the so-called largest black diamond in the world. Do we want to? Yeah, might as well read that. Sales of securities in the form of crypto assets. Defendants collected over $1 billion from investors worldwide, including many in the United States, selling Hex, PulseChain, and PulseX assets. Additionally, Hart and PulseChain misled investors about the use of investor funds, and Hart misappropriated investor funds worth millions of dollars for personal luxury purchases, including watches, cars, and the so-called largest black diamond in the world. I believe, what's the name for it? Is it the Enigma?
The Enigma, yep.
Yeah, there you go. The regulator claimed Hart raised over $350 million from investors to develop the Ethereum fork, and often spoke about the efforts that he and his developers were making to bring PulseChain online, but alleged he spent over $12 million on personal luxury goods. Hart's dismissal bid claims that the SEC alleges no deceptive conduct at all, nor any statement that was false or misleading. The SEC again alleged Hart illegally sold securities through Hex, Pulse, and PulseX. Hart said the regulator didn't plausibly agree they were investment contracts under the federal securities law. Hart also claimed the SEC's case was an infringement on his free speech rights, as it used his commentary to allege securities offerings. He claims it threatens to stifle protected speech uttered on the blockchain, including the computer code underlying software programs that the SEC aims to shut down. Quote, "This is a novel and untenable position," unquote, the SEC said to rebuff Hart's argument. Quote, "akin to a bank robbery defendant claiming that his constitutional rights are violated if prosecutors quote him as saying, 'stick 'em up,' end quote." There you go. Well, the news got picked up by the news, but I don't know if they do a great job of actually understanding the arguments, particularly the free speech line that they include there by the SEC. This one is, we talked about it a bit yesterday, but when looking at the responses to each other, it kind of felt like the SEC and Richard Hart's legal teams were just like talking past each other on the First Amendment speech thing, because the SEC was trying to claim like, "Oh, if you can't just use First Amendment to claim all speech is not protected, because then we'd never be able to hold anything against you in a court of law." And to some people, some might say good, but that is not what Richard Hart's team alleged at all. If anything, they're saying that you particularly cherry-picked protected political speech and then used it as a justification to claim that these crypto assets are securities. It's like, no, it's like you are exclusively relying on cherry-picked statements and going blatantly against all of the massive disclaimers that he's talked about regarding any of these products and expected value or obligations or the use of the funds.
Yep. It's pretty sick, pretty annoying, but you know, it is what it is, and time will tell. We will see who comes out on top. I don't think it's going to be the SEC, personally. I got a 69.420 odds or percent chance odds that that Richard Hart's going to come out on top. I don't know what the percentage. We were also like gambling yesterday, like notionally gambling on what we think the odds are that like the case will get dismissed, or that it'll get like waved away, or that the SEC will actually like back out and withdraw their accusations and all that, or their lawsuit or whatever. But Nuclear Herbs has some confidence that this is all going to go very well and things are going to be going in our favor. So shout out to Nuclear Herbs.
Again, we're gonna shout his name out till we're blue in the face. He does very good work, and he's following this stuff very closely. But as far as the probability of outcomes on this one, so based on the arguments that we saw, if this ever went to a trial, I think it's heavily in favor of Richard Hart in this case. I think that his team is very specific and precise with their case law, their application of case law, and the analysis that they bring about it. Specifically on the jurisdictional claims, they do a very detailed job of showing how you just claim that he attended this one event at some time, therefore he was directing efforts with the U.S. And it's like, no. You were claiming
weak argument.
It is, but specifically the retort to this one was, no, you are alleging that he sold unregistered securities during very specific windows. So any efforts during those windows would be a targeted effort to promote the sale of that thing. All of the examples you bring are outside of those windows, almost like he was aware of the laws and was trying to like be within the law, and specifically directed efforts away from things that could be misconstrued as illegal activity.
Yep. Man, if only there was some effort done on the foreground to be like, man, I sure hope this thing doesn't happen. Oh, we're accusing you of this thing. Oh, I went through all these steps and here's these things. Like, they pay attention. You were talking about this yesterday on stream over the DJ Roundtable, is like they pay attention to him, talking about it live, but they don't pay attention to him talking about like, hey, you guys, if you sacrifice the money, it's fucking gone. Like, you can't expect anything. It doesn't belong to you anymore. It belongs to whoever owns the address or what. Like, they cherry pick the things that he says, and they don't listen to the other things that he says. So it's just a big fugazi, bro. It's just a big series of campfire storytellings. There we go. My backup campfire story. I'm always ready. Always ready with the campfire stories.
You're not wrong. What it is, in my personal opinion, as kind of a more metagame analysis, is that this is kind of just part and parcel for how Gary Gensler has run the SEC, which is that under his leadership, they've been trying to regulate through lawfare as opposed to regulate through like regulatory action and proposing like rules that comport with whatever the issues that the market is telling them are issues. But instead, he's just trying to be just an investigator or just a cop with a stick, just trying to go around and find the criminals and go beat them on the head and then use that as an example, telling other people what they can and can't do. It's like, theoretically it could work because that's kind of like the idea of deterrence for foreign affairs. But internally, if you're not being very specific on what you're trying to target, you're not doing it in a manner that has any sort of rhyme or reason to it. So it kind of just feels like anybody is up in the air at any time to be investigated or cracked down on for anything that like we're all just still questioning and trying to figure out.
Does this have anything to do with like the Chevron deference stuff, or is that a different precedent entirely?
It might. So yes and no. Does this case rely on Chevron deference? In the beginning, it might have a little bit. Chevron deference was overturned during the lifespan of this ongoing proceeding. So for the folks at home, Chevron deference was this old case in the 70s regarding, the case was called Chevron. And what it determined was that you can't really sue federal agencies for their interpretation of ambiguous or unclear law, but instead, because they're the experts, you have to just defer to whatever they say. So there you go, Chevron deference. You have to defer to federal agencies. So you can't sue them over their interpretation of ambiguous law, but you have to sue them over like policy and procedure of how they're applying their own definition. And then one of the awkward things about this is that there is the ambiguous law, but every time you change out the head of a federal agency, the new director can come in and reinterpret that law and create new rules and regulations. I'm looking at you, ATF.
Yep.
Like, you can't just reclassify what is and is not a pistol brace. So it's stuff like that. So in this case in particular, one of the arguments that actually does get made is they're talking about the Howey test, or rather the SEC purports the Howey test, even though Richard Hart's team is like, by the way, we never argued this. They do have they have a cold line in this one though, where the guy's like, look, your Howey test, which we never argued, it fails on its face. And by the way, we look forward to making this argument in court. It's one of those threats where it's like, we can take this to court, but if you lose, this becomes binding precedent for the rest of the country. We're in the Second Circuit. That is your backyard, SEC. The Second Circuit Court is in New York, Connecticut, and was it Vermont?
Yeah.
I think it was Vermont.
New York,
the SEC,
Connecticut,
the SEC
Vermont.
is headquartered in Brooklyn. Imagine that. So if they're losing in their own backyard with a allegedly favorable judge towards the SEC, that sets very bad precedent against them. So this is one of the other speculations, which is like, does this even go to court? I think the argument is very, very low probability, because it's one of those things where if the SEC loses, it could like cut very hard against them for a long, long time with that precedent that's set by case law. On the flip side, typically a lot of the crypto cases try not to go to actual like ruling through court and try to do a settlement of some kind, because the more that the crypto industry loses, the more guardrails are kind of put in place and hedge in what they can and can't do. And it rules out the gray space. It just eliminates it entirely. And it might even be an unfavorable ruling. It just kind of depends on what the case is and what the specifics of the case are. So that kind of shows that like people don't really want to actually like go to court and settle it. Also, don't go to court because like anything can happen in front of
punishment.
Well, it's not just the process is the punishment, but many like trial lawyers will tell you this, which is that if you put anything in front of a jury, it's a coin flip. which is that you could always get rogue juries. You could get like weird 1 or 2 people that can affect it. Something weird might happen in the courtroom. There's weird outside of the courtroom stuff that can affect your jury, even outside of the job. Like you could have an amazing case, but if like the mob is threatening them to like find this person innocent anyways, it's not going to matter what you say.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously all of that is illegal, but at the same time, it's like we unfortunately live
Doesn't
in
mean
a
it doesn't
fallen
happen,
world.
right?
Correct. There you go. There you go. So as far as going to trial, unlikely. As far as the motion to dismiss being granted, that's something we talked with Nuclear Herbs about, and he said that in general, about 10% of motions to dismiss are granted, aka 1 in 10 cases actually get dismissed. But he said on this one in particular, it seems like there's actually a pretty good chance that it might get dismissed. So it is much higher than 10%, according to our good friend.
Man, it was such a pleasure just to read that that final document that came out yesterday, because we didn't Zenith and I, we didn't know that there was a final response. We had read Richard Hart's original reply to the SEC, or his motion to dismiss, whatever you call the original memorandum thing, and then we read the SEC's response to him, and we ended on that note for the first stream. And then, like, while we were in the green room doing like post show debrief, we were like, oh shit, he wrote a response. Richard Hart's got a response. We got to get back on stream. Fucking dude, that was such a pleasure to read that thing, because it was like, we're not ending on just the sour note of the SEC response. It's like, okay, Richard's been ready, because he uploaded it like in the middle of us streaming, or he put the link out in the middle of us streaming, or that's when we got access to it or whatever. Man, that was such a pleasure reading that thing, and just like all the language that they were using, all the colorful like Richard Hart isms of like just like pointing out the obvious flaws and things. It was an absolute treat. So I hope it's gonna go great. And there, by the way, Johnny Chaos has sent a link in the chat of Snoop Dogg reading the disclaimer. It's apparently Matty Allen has put up a Snoop Dogg AI reads SEC versus Hex Exhibit E disclaimers. It's a 5-minute little blurb of Snoop Dogg reading this shit. So that's awesome. And we have a guest joining. Welcome.
Hello.
David.
Hey, y'all. That's the one I'm thinking of. It might be a different one, but I think I heard Snoop Dogg reading Nuclear Herbs PulseChain Law School a week or two ago. It was about 15 minutes on that one, but it was a fun one. How you guys doing?
Doing
Killer,
great,
dude.
man.
Excellent week. Great news with the Richard Hart stuff. And overall, it's a pretty exciting week to be in crypto right now.
It is. Lots of good stuff happening. We got our captain out at Burning Man, and Will, our buddy Kool-Aid is out there with him, but whenever he comes back, he's having his birthday bash. So I got an opportunity for you to deliver that calzone. And Zenith, I got an extra ticket if you'd like to come down as well. So,
dude, I didn't know it was his birthday. Heck yeah, let's try to make something happen.
Absolutely.
I think it is the 7th of September. So next week? No, not next weekend.
Well,
weekend after.
3 weekends from now. 3 weekends from now.
Yep. But anyways, yeah, freaking, it's gonna be a cool and fun weekend. But bro, what's new and exciting with you? I haven't spoke to you face to face, Mr. Moondog, and I don't know, maybe since the Hex meetup up here in Dallas, or I mean, we've been chatting like crazy in the telegrams and things. But how you doing, bro?
For sure. I've actually seen Zenith face to face more recently than I saw you, I believe, because the Dallas one was before Pulse Tour of last year, the 369, and Zenith was there. We had a nice little chat in line at one point. Plus, we saw each other around. And
hell yeah, bro!
I hadn't been introduced to DGen Roundtable or Book Club at that point yet. I hadn't had an opportunity to dive in real deep, but got good vibes immediately. And then also saw his associations with you. Caught in on the book clubs whenever I can, and it's good stuff. You guys are good people. I am glad to be here. So,
hell yeah,
appreciate it, man.
But to answer your question, I've been fighting my own legal battles on the sides while all of this. Actually, just got finished murking a few attorneys in court on Wednesday, and as we got to the elevator, had a notification for a case that I've been waiting for 2 years. Finally, so next Wednesday we're having a conference, and then I'll be making my way up to New York to witness all this stuff. Plus, got a couple of multi-million-dollar lawsuits in the background that my business partner actually just texted me before this. So what's fun is our attorneys forking. I know it's Discourse Syndicate, but I'll still try to be mindful of my language. Our attorneys forking tried to fire. Well, set a motion to withdraw last week, and we've been in contention for a little bit anyways with our attorneys, because they all think that their stuff is the most important stuff, which is fine, except I've got 10 different ones and 10 different, so I've got a bunch more to manage and handle. And so whenever I don't jump at every little thing that they think is the most important thing in the world, sometimes their egos get a little bruised and hurt. But they tried to fire us last week, and I was waiting for this one to resolve to deal with them. And my business partner sent me an email after I woke up from a nap right before this. Hey, puppy. Sorry, my big guy is going crazy because little girl is in heat. So calm down, okay? You're distracting me, and we're on the interwebs right now. Here, you want to say hi?
Oh wow!
What a
Look at
good
him.
dog.
So my business partner texted me like that the opposing parties had accepted our offer that we had submitted a couple of months ago, our settlement offer. So good news. I'll get to, instead of having to take those guys to trial, we'll get that stuff sorted out, deal with the attorney. Anyways, been dealing with my own legal stuff, and I'm not even an attorney, just was doing some real estate stuff before I got distracted back into the crypto world during the pandemic, because our real estate stuff was put on the sidelines. And I stumbled upon Richard Hart, his ecosystem, and everything that he was doing. Very quickly knew the time value of money, and also my just general BS detector, being able to navigate the human terrain. This community, as full of shitheads as it is right now. Yes, I'm talking to you, all of you, including me in the mirror, because I'm looking at myself right now. And everything that we do out here is really just a projection and a reflection of our own shit being spewed out and then filtered back in.
I love it.
Figure out, anyways. But there's a lot of awesome people here. Like, this has I've been to a lot of awesome places. I've been to West Point and other, just cool, even in different fields, seeing talent across different domains, and just the capacity of the human spirit in different landscapes. But everybody, rises or falls to the degree of their own choices. But we all have this infinite potential inside of us, and this community has such a large skew and accumulation of people who are disproportionately tapping into the upper levels of that potential, that it's a lovely place to be. I'm so glad that despite all of the, hey puppy, calm down please, all of the darkness and the shadows that the puppet masters are trying to enact with the pandemic, for example, the second, third, fourth order consequences that are out of their hands, and the kind of just love and light and good things that can come from that. That's what I'm here doing. That's my personal testimony. I got 4 kiddos that, I'm doing all this for. I got 3 boys and a baby girl. So I'm a forefather first. And by virtue of that, it inherently makes me a spirit guide if I take that job seriously, because my job is not to direct them or control their life outcomes in any way, but to guide their spirit, which for even the most hardcore atheists, I'll offer this definition because I'm an Asperger's word nerd. Spirit is anything non-physical, non-corporeal. So for example, a thought, you can't touch a thought, even within a neural net. It's not something that you could physically pinpoint to, but you know what a thought is. You have them all the time. As a matter of fact, you probably exist in your thought realm much more than you do in the actual physical, tactile realm all around you. The thought realm is a spiritual realm because it is non-physical. So you exist in at least one spiritual realm, even if you're the most hardcore materialistic person out there, just by definition.
That's a good way to look at it. I like that.
I like that a lot, actually. Yeah,
we live in our heads.
We do. It's an inside out job. We think that we live in the world. I was just listening to the Y-Files. He's talking about time slips, and he did the Albert Einstein quote about how reality is an illusion, albeit a persistent one, and that's a half truth. All truths are but half truths, and every half truth can be reconciled. Every paradox can be reconciled, but it's a half truth. So the realities that we exist in outside, first of all, you encounter more sense data than you could physically consciously process at any given moment. Like, you have to have algorithms on what actually goes through your senses and enters into your conscious awareness realm. And we all like to think that, we skew for accuracy or truth or whatever. One of the truths is that we wouldn't be able to exist in physical reality if the meat suits that we're carrying around, our ideation machines, weren't able to continue to persist in these environments. So part of the algorithms of these meat suits, and a way of thinking, so brain and mind is something that's used interchangeably a lot. But if we separate out the physical and the spiritual, like I just did, you could look at the brain as the physical architecture of what you could touch, and the mind as the container of that spiritual realm of thoughts and ideas. So I forgot my point. Anyways, I've talked a lot. I'm gonna let it go from there. I answered your question, which is what I've been doing lately. I do what I always do, running around being a word nerd, just trying to spread love and light wherever I can.
I love it.
How are you guys?
Dude.
Oh, hey, my shirt. I picked it because it's from my favorite, one of my favorite. So Dimension 20 is a live action show that you can watch where nerds are playing D&D, and it's, you know, professional improvers, so it's good storytelling. But one of my favorite quotes from the series is here on my shirt. And so, laws are just threats made by the dominant socioeconomic ethnic group in a given nation. It's just a promise of violence that's enacted by and the police are basically an occupying army. You know what I mean? And like many scenes later, the dude who's busting him out of jail pulls a lit Molotov cocktail from his bag, and he's like, "You guys want to make some bacon?" Anyways, that's on the back. Dimension 20. Brennan Lee Mulligan as a master dungeon master. So for the curious out there, there's a rabbit hole for y'all to go explore.
I'm pretty sure
you'll
I've
see my
seen
links that I share in the Telegrams. Yeah, I was just about to. Yeah. It's on YouTube's as well. It's pretty popular.
Yeah, for sure.
Lost
Oh shoot!
If
you're a D&D guy, do you got a favorite build of any kind?
Oh, no, not a favorite. It would be across the board. I love the different iterations and the different. Yeah. So to give you an idea from the MBTI, and I am an INFP, so the one who's most likely to be able to meld and take components of each of the other ones and alchemicalize them into my own whatever. But so as far as a favorite, the same thing that my oldest son would answer every time we'd ask him favorite anything, favorite color, favorite animal, favorite anything. He figured out an answer so they didn't even have to think. All of them. His answer was always all of them. I'm not gonna pick. You're not gonna. I'm 5 years old. You're not gonna make me pick a favorite. Come on, Dad. Like, I don't have enough life experience yet. So he just figured all of them. I'll leave my options open.
That's fair. Why limit yourself so early? Got to leave those doors open.
You don't know what you don't know. That's the thing. So to pick a favorite is as true as it may be to your own conception of yourself. Man, you don't even know what you don't know about yourself. So you may be betraying, higher sense of yourself without even knowing it. And by closing that door, it is literally the epitome of hubris and assuming that you know what you think you know.
Unknown.
Johnny Chaos does have a good answer for us, though. He's willing to plant the flag right on the dual spec Dwarven fighter cleric.
You know, I could see that in Johnny for sure, especially the legacy that he's left at us, especially in the legal realm. Since we're here, I mean, it's worth telling the freaking serving of coin market crap on Twitter. That's a literal legal historical precedent. That's not something that, whether you care about crypto or not, that's the first time that something like that was done. And I remember I actually had my middle son, so my second child, with me at the Pulse conference where Johnny was up there telling us that he had done his part, putting it into the hands of the attorneys. And the attorneys are freaking, I call them vampires all the time because that's what they are. He referred to them as wolves. He put what was needed into the hands of the wolves, done his job. They're going to want, they have their intentions, which are different from our idealistic, what we're trying to do over here. And, they're going to want their money. Let them do what they're going to do with it. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you for the part that you've played in crypto history and legal history and what we're all doing here. You are a legend, fucking bar none. That is just fact. And it's verifiable on the record. So there you go.
I dig it. That's good stuff. Shoot, Will, do you ever... We unfortunately fall solely into the influencer camp of we are people that talk for a living instead of really like building crypto stuff.
The word, our life and death is on the tongue. So the word is more
it is true.
I'm a word nerd. I do everything that I do through all this poetry that, it's flowing because I'm just in flow right now, but it's taken listening to influencers who are taking the time to think, to have something to say or feel like they have something and the courage to get up and say it. And me doing thousands and thousands of hours of that and then just refining through that to be able to do what I'm doing. So I'm just buffering against your own self-diminutizing of only influencers and saying that it is an important role and it is in fact pivotal in everything that we're doing here. It is influential to say the least. Anyways, go ahead, buddy.
No, that's good stuff. I was just lamenting the fact that it's like, I don't know. I want to do more kind of like volunteer work within the space, or actually like
Yep.
build like an actual product. But at the same time, I don't want to just like build some random NFT collection or just
Yeah.
some sort of influencer coin, because I hot take here, I personally don't really think they have value or a use case. So why make it?
It sounds like you
seems
might be
more-
wanting. So you're saying you want to do something meaningful versus expedient.
We got a sort of kind of
Yeah.
kind of product that we talked to Larry about a while back.
We did. We kind of got distracted and ended up just hanging out with Larry and having a good time instead of building
Yes.
what we were
spent-
trying to build.
I spent last weekend helping him move from his apartment to his new place, and
The new
instead
place
of
looks
sleeping, it's nice.
Very
Me and my
nice.
business partner, the one that texted me right before this, so instead of sleeping between, I think it was Friday and Saturday, we helped move. So we from 12 when we stopped. So first we got off and we played some games. We played Baldur's Gate 3 with Giff. Watch Giff murder Larry immediately, and then Larry's like, give me back my stick so I can get us out of the sphincter realm that we're in. If you guys want to come game with us and play with us, that's a thing that will be available as well. Get in the telegrams, find us. The community is we're, like I said, there's shitheads out there and there's good people. So use your own discernment and judgment and navigate wisely. Word nerd definition for wisdom, since it's one of those ambiguous things. Wisdom is integrated experience. So now you have a roadmap with ingredients. Experience, that's not enough. It has to go through a formula of integration, meet certain standards. Now you have wisdom. So you want to be a wise guy? There you go. What was my point? We didn't even sleep between 12 and 6. We spent 6 hours in the hot tub.
Hey,
They're-
that's
they're
relatable.
Experience.
Yep.
They were
Dude,
playing
fucking-
Baldur's Gate. Larry put a headset on my head, which was so I'm listening to the murder thing in the background because I'm in this world, literally figuring out how to ambulate as a robot with only hands. It's a game that he's game deving on that freaking it's still in pre-alpha. The first trailer for it just launched like this week after I was like, oh, I played this game last weekend. I got the chance to do it, and I didn't even know like the gift or the experience, like all of the love that like literally. So some people called it Gorilla Tag too, because it's the same studio that's doing that.
I was going
Gorilla
to say
Tag
the
has
monkey game.
whole
Yeah.
freaking love and community behind it, and I just wasn't even aware of that. I was going into it, without that awareness and just in love with. I was blown away by falling into. One time I had a little bit of anxiety as I'm literally falling into the void, waiting for a towbot to come pick me up. It was cool stuff. And then we were in the hot tub for 6 hours, and then we helped him finish moving the next day. And then we would have stayed and played and communed more before he had to run off to Burning Man. But I had my legal engagements for this week. So we got back for partners meetings on Monday, rolling through. And I guess we're at the end of the week now because it's Friday Discourse Syndicate. So going into the weekend, have some fun. But Larry's good people, and there's a lot of good stuff going to be coming from, just everything. That the whole group of us here, those gentlemen and ladies that are out at Burning Man right now, and Hexaco in general. This, like I said in the beginning, this place, it's full of humans, and humans are,
The reason
fallen
they live.
angels or risen apes.
Other
The lie is believing one over the other. We are both. Like we're both, fallen angels and risen apes, and you can embody that and integrate that to the best of your ability. That's what I have to offer right now. I'm going to stop talking and let someone else, because I keep.
I like it. No, bro, it's good when you
You're
go
good.
on your
You're
little
good. I think
spiels.
we're getting ready to bring somebody else on. I do believe. So if you're
Ooh.
ready,
Is
get
it
in here?
this girl? Ha ha.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, pretty girl.
Very pretty.
Look at him. Hey, buddy. No, sir. I know.
Excellent. What was your question though, Zenith?
Oh, I was saying, well, what are we doing to? Do you ever
The
want to like?
project.
Well, we've talked about building projects, and I think like obviously helping RG3 host the hangout when he's gone. It's not building a project, but it's helping out the community a little bit. So it's stuff
Sure.
like this, or just like other ways to get involved.
Generating
I-
attention economy.
Yeah, there's always that thing in the back of my head, which is like you should do more. You should go do something else.
Yeah.
Don't just
And then
stream.
here we are. We're doing
Yeah.
it. I mean, streaming something. It is something.
It's
There's a-
something.
There's a quote about like the people who, and I'm not even going to remember it right now because it's not close enough, but it's essentially like the people who are actually out there building are always worried that they're not doing enough and always pushing themselves to a higher standard, while the people who are more likely to like check out are the ones and take all the credit. Like the ones who are being loud about all the stuff they've done. Go ahead.
It's well, so you're the one half that you're describing is like almost imposter syndrome that people go through, where they think they're not doing enough, or they think that they're fake, or they like everyone gets imposter syndrome. And the solution to that is just to stop thinking about it, just to push past it, just keep doing things, and just keep like pretending like you belong where you're at, and that you're doing the stuff that you're doing, and that like the things that you are creating is actually enough. And then like the results speak for themselves. If people are using it, then just pay attention to people using it. If people are talking about it, then pay attention to people talking about it. All you have to do is like look under the rock and see like, oh, there's a bunch of little crabs under there, and you go pick up the crabs, and it's like, I got crabs from under the rock, hooray. Oh wow, what a terrible soundbite. I got bugs and grubs from underneath the rock.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Will has crabs. By the way, joining us with Crabman, we have a guy who I would argue sounds like he does a lot. Hopefully he doesn't have the imposter syndrome, but he definitely does a lot. Mrs. Producer, go ahead and bring on our next guest to the panel.
You said my name one too many times. Like Beetlejuice, here I am.
What's up,
Aloha, Johnny Chaos. What's up, bro?
Hey, Dave. I just wanted to say thanks, Dave. I appreciate you giving me the shout out. Will, we've been talking. You wanted me to come on your show here recently. Zenith, we haven't talked all that much yet, but
not yet.
Here we are.
Not yet, but we will.
Bro, I gotta go find your little decorations over at Six Flags. I'm not terribly far from Arlington right now, so like you made some skulls on like a Halloween ride thing.
Yeah, so there's some chandeliers that went, and there were 10 of them that sent out. So I don't know if like half of them are going to one place or not, because it went to their distribution. So like half of them might be at one and half of them might be at the other. I didn't know there were 2 Six Flags. So all I know is it went to like their general office. So
let's kick ass, bro. Hell yeah.
So I did the assembly on those. A friend of mine designed them. We import the skulls and then we make the frames and put all that stuff together and everything. But the 10 that just went out, I made myself while he was on vacation. So
that's awesome, bro. For the folks at home that don't know, like I only just recently found out that you do like special effects stuff, bro. Is that something that that you talk about often? Your history in the special effects community?
You know what? The funniest thing in the world, out of everything that I've done, I spend all my damn time talking about something that somebody else built, right?
Oh, you're talking about like all the hex and everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically I don't work for the general public, I guess is the way you put it. So, I don't tend to market or talk about the stuff that I do that much, because I'm not like dependent on the general public to purchase things. I work for companies. So the companies pay me, and I have a retail store, but I don't really kind of push it,
Yeah, that makes sense. Is it a super large community, the special effects and the VFX and the not VFX.
No, I used to do the Mass Fest tour, and I know all the artists there, and I've been a supplier for all the artists there. So I've got products that are kind of unique for special effects industry. Gotcha. And I've got 30-year veterans and stuff have just switched over to some of my products. So that's pretty cool. People that I learned stuff from are now my customers. So that's kind of cool.
That's awesome, bro. Do you have like, is there like niches inside? So would it be called special effects or practical effects? Is there like a specific category that you tend to work in more than others? Like I've noticed a lot of your stuff has to do with like scary or Halloweeny stuff or something of that nature.
So
spooky.
I'm a fabricator. Okay. So pretty much if you can think it, I can make it.
Okay.
So whether it's a beer tap, a custom motorcycle part, or a 12-foot tall dragon with a 21-foot wingspan, I can build pretty much anything. So what I did, I've always been a fan of Halloween type stuff. And I wanted a store that had more higher end products, because, most of the stuff you see at like the fly-by-nights and stuff is not really, extreme Halloween type stuff. They didn't carry prosthetics or high-end teeth or contacts or, any of that cool stuff that you see on TV. So I wanted to my goal was to make that available for like the general public. And then knowing the artists and going to the art shows and stuff, I know a lot of the artists, so I'm able to get very unique pieces that you can't get anywhere else. So I make trades and I bring them back to my store. So I have a selection of things that nobody else has. And it's like not all listed on my website. It's in store because, you know, I only get like 1 or 2 of these things because I'm trying not to give everybody the same thing.
Yeah.
The problem with a retail store like that is that, you know, most people just assume that the big Halloween stores have everything that the mom and pop stores do plus more. And in actuality, I have over 250 items that they don't carry.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those things. But anyway, Halloween is actually kind of my downtime because I'm usually producing throughout the year.
Okay.
Cool.
Nice.
And
this is so awesome.
Go ahead.
Speaking of fabrication, and you guys mentioned skulls earlier, and Will, something else that I've been doing lately is I've been experimenting with some, like, you know, pouring of aluminum into different molds and stuff.
Ooh,
so these are a couple of my first pours, but I will say it's grown back by now. Always preheat your molds. Always preheat your molds. Everybody who's listening, if you ever do this, which I knew, right? But I was trying something else and just right.
Get wax out, love wax.
It's lucky that I'm here. It's lucky that I'm here at all with y'all because I literally was doing a pour and I'm realizing after I poured a couple of the small ones and I'm in the big one, right before I hear a noise, oh shit, I didn't preheat these. Hear an explosion. So it explodes all around my face, molten metal. I got just a little nick right on my eyelid. Took this eyelid out. I had gear. So here's the thing. If you also wear face protection. I had on everything else and I didn't have a fucking face pro. I know I'm stupid. So I have a lot of extra face pro and stuff now. It got that into me. But thank Spirit, it went all around me, freaking so I got up, walked away, like, you know, then there was multiple other explosions because the other ones went out. Took the stuff off that I had on because the metal was starting to burn through it. So I had a little bit of a burn on just 2 of my fingertips. And like I said, 1 eyebrow, and literally I felt it. I felt it on the tip of my eyelid. So that's why I went off. I got my stuff off me. I didn't want to touch anything until I had a visual. So I asked my business partner, is anything on my face? He said, no. I went, grabbed the hose and freaking just, you know, and thank God I knew better, but I didn't do better. And it's by grace that I'm still here to participate and engage in all of this at all still. So I'm thankful every day because I've done a lot of stupid stuff that, you know, by many measures and accounts, the chips could have fell elsewhere. Like that could have went straight through my eye. It could have melted into my, so fun times. But yeah, so Johnny's talking about, I just know that you have CFX studios and you're talking about special effects. I'm inferring you're talking about fabrication and stuff. So stuff is probably very familiar to you, 22-foot dragons, that kind of thing. Yeah. But that's just a side project experiment, something I've wanted to do for years. And I had the crucible or the forge literally in a box for a couple of years, but baby mama drama with the divorce the past couple of years, it's just been doing what I can. And so I got around to it because one of my buddies wanted to do it. And this is one of my, you know, first couple of weeks doing it. Man. So just having some fun. It is. I'm going to, you know, experiment with some anodizing and coloring it. Like I said, I got 3 boys and a baby girl. So arts and crafts stuff later, give them materials to work with. And plus our trash. I don't have to feel as bad about all the Monster cans, energy drink stuff that I'm drinking because, you know, at least we're turning a part of it into something.
Are you doing a lost wax process or were you just poured steel in a cold mold?
So watching a lost wax process video was the thing that initially got me interested in it because I saw the potential utility of doing that with 3D printing or other things, even styrofoam, being able to personally make things that I could make that I couldn't get anywhere else, for example. Yeah. But I haven't gotten there yet is the answer to the question. This is just some couple of molds that I got off of Amazon. So I was just doing regular molds and I was stupid enough not to preheat them before I did it. So it went into the little ones and I was pouring the overflow into the big one when I heard the noise and it exploded all around me. And then I didn't even realize that the other ones, like, honestly, that was enough. I didn't know that the other ones had popped off until my business partner had told me about it later. And actually I went back and looked and like, yeah, the ones that I had poured were all gone. And then because he had told me something and I thought he was just mixing up the timeline before of explosion and what happened. But after I saw they were all empty, I asked him, I was like, oh wait, were there he's like, no, there were multiple explosions. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense, because these each popped out. Like I had like 5 or 6 little molds and then a medium-sized mold I had done one pour in, and yeah, just a fun little learning experience.
Good old physics. No, I did I did a dental technician job for about 5 years, and that was where you did do sculpting and crowns and stuff, and it was the lost wax. So you took the molds out of the kiln after it burned out the wax, and they came out hot. And then you put them in the centrifugal caster, and you melt down your gold or whatever precious metals, and then you let it loose and you spin it, and it goes in there. But I had an accident where one of the waxes wasn't burned out all the way, and so when I poured the gold in there, it bubbled up because it wasn't completely burnt out yet, so it messed up the crown. So I had to rerun them again. So you had to resculpt them, remold them, and then make sure the wax was burnt out that time. So I was wondering if it was something similar to kind of that sort of thing. But it sounds like you just had cold molds pouring hot steel in there, and you can't do that.
Nope.
With the lost wax process, you'd be doing it after the wax burnt out, so the mold would already be hot, so you wouldn't have that kind of issue.
Yeah. Your scenario, like had I been doing that, and especially with that mask, it's much more similar to the burn that I got on my arm whenever I was firing an M240 Bravo and just put my arm down and the shells were too close. Because it's great. Right I used to, as a younger dude, I would tell people that I had, freaking machine gun scar, because it was literally a burn from a machine gun shell.
Less hazardous for you would be to use a resin with like bronze powder, and you can simulate metal with that resin by adding bronze powder to it, and then you don't have any risk of explosion. So you can use reusable silicone molds, no heat. I mean, you shouldn't get the materials on your hands, but it's nowhere near as dangerous as hot
resin,
metal.
Resin and epoxy, like all that stuff is fun to play with as well. It's fun materials to play
but
with.
you can add bronze powder to it, and you can add weight, and you can add strength to it, and that will make it similar to metal. If it doesn't have to be metal, it doesn't need to be. So there's all kinds of things you can do to kind of sort of trick the appearance and weight of things.
Yep. One of my favorite examples of that is aircrete, basically putting a formulation of foam using dish soap into when you're making the concrete in order to make an obviously less, structurally sound version of concrete, but it's much more pliable, lightweight, and easy to work with. So it has different applications than traditional concrete would.
Huh. That's interesting. What would you
Aircrete,
use?
it's a great one, Will.
Aircrete.
YouTube it and go down the rabbit hole, buddy, because you'll enjoy it much better, and I'll be able to articulate on here, or much better than would be considerate of the whole audience for me to take the time articulating on here.
Fair enough.
I'm thinking of something similar to like pumice, like that would come off a volcano. I think
it kind of has that type of, if you're holding it, it has that kind of density, but it's obviously concrete is porous, but it's going to be less porous than pumice. So it is similar to that, but a less porous version perhaps.
There's a product called tooling foam too, which is kind of like if you think of like Nickelodeon Zand, right? You apply these two together. It's an epoxy, but it's an epoxy foam. So it's very rigid and very lightweight, but it resembles concrete. So you can make things that would, like you can make cinder blocks out of it that would be very, very lightweight, and they'd look just like cinder blocks. So, I mean, there's all kinds of different foams and materials and stuff that you can use to do all kinds of different things. And that's kind of my job, is they give me a problem and say, here, I need something that does this, this, and this. And then I have to figure out the materials and stuff that would work with that.
I was sitting at lunch with my 7-year-old son at the time, Titus Leonidas, and he just starts going off on, the key to concrete that the Romans used was the silica ash. It's like, I started thinking about the meme about how males think about the Roman, how often we think about the Roman Empire.
Bro, I was
My
watching
son,
Gladiator earlier today.
And it was great because it was probably 2 days later where I was, at a Friday night magic with my buddies, and we were talking about something similar. And then that came up, and I was like, hold up, let me call my son real quick. We're going to talk. But yeah, fun stuff.
That's freaking awesome. I'm looking up Aircrete right now, and it reminds me of the there's a huge caterpillar outside I-35 East in
those domes
in Italy.
and...
Yep, the domes, the dome houses, and they're starting to do the 3D printing, or they're already doing the 3D printing of houses over in Austin, as I'm moderately aware. Yeah. Well, it's
I didn't
3D
know if that
printing
was actually
concrete.
approved or not in the U.S.
Yeah, they've got a concrete extruder. There's a concrete extruder 3D printer that just prints it out in concrete. It's like, that's kind of cool.
Yep. They got one of my friends works on one over in Colorado, and then some architects I know down in Austin are telling me about the 3D printing stuff out there. But it's essentially just like a huge 3D printer that just mixes up all the materials and then just like does the stuff. And then
like an ice cream dispenser.
Yeah, basically.
It really is.
It's freaking huge. Yeah, you set it up in a crane and then it like prints a house, and it's like, done did he do? So
3D printing is still behind the knee of the curve for people to realize its exponential impact. But an easy way to frame it is decentralized manufacturing. It's putting the power of manufacturing into to where you don't have to have it as centralized a force to get those economies of scale in order to produce. So it's helping to be able to have some pathings to bring back the specificity, the customization, and the artistry that we have lost in the age of IKEA, and still be able to access the resources needed to do those things, because technology is a resource liberating mechanism. That's what it helps us to do. Everything that we need is out there. Like, the resources are abundant. It's a matter of accessing it and then putting it together in a way to where it's resolving the problems that we're facing and trying to navigate. But 3D printing, and especially 3D printing houses, is something that since I've been in just real estate is the forte that I've been following for, oh man, when did I give that talk? So about a decade now, at least. And it's fun stuff. It's a lot of the, so what's great about that, specifically that application, is a lot of the games that we're playing here in crypto, we have a similar adversary. So the Creature from Jekyll Island, and just the games that they've played since, the junk bonds, into the real estate derivatives, into the ETFs and the carbon credit coup that they're doing next. What was I talking about? So Creature from Jekyll Island,
common enemies
3D
with the real estate.
3D printing of real estate will be able to give back to the people, just take away some of the that's why they're having to move on to the next phase, because they're not going to be able to keep playing the same games forever, because people end up resolving the problems. And so 3D printing, for example, is going to make the housing affordability crisis that we face. Because here's the thing. First of all, think about this. Population is an exponential growth if it's uninterfered with and unmolested. But that's a tangent I won't go into right now. Evil people with evil ideas about freaking numbers that don't make sense, and population theories that have been disproven over and over. Anyways, population, if left to its own devices, you get a couple of rabbits, it's not going to grow on a linear curve. Construction is a linear growth curve, even in its best stages. But it's suffered hit after hit just because of the stupid games that they're playing. Again, bad stewardship at the Federal Reserve and other levels. We're still suffering the ramifications from 2008. We just have band-aids on it. So we're waiting for those septic, and those patches aren't being, here's the problem. We have a wound that has a band-aid on it, and we have the opportunity to clean it the fuck out and get the system healthy again, or to let it continue to grow septic until the pus bursts through the band-aid, and now we have anyways, and we either got to amputate it or do something else. That's the situation we're in. So that's just a reality check on what's going on with and it's fine. It's fine. The human spirit is resilient, even more resilient than the human body. And, I had, like I just mentioned, I had a couple of burns from that explosion, but I had a freaking hedge trimmer, going to it's just another scar on my finger, because I had a hedge trimmer go on this. I had a knife to chop this one off. My oldest son had a window come down, and he was pre-verbal. He still made noises, but he wasn't articulating. But so he had a window that fell down on his finger one time, and so he was kind of we were holding it, and he was still whining after about an hour. And my wife was like, "No, he's fine." I'm like, "No, he's not a whiner. Like, there's some kids that are whiners, but he's not." So I was like, "I'm taking him to the hospital." When they took his fingernail off, his freaking finger like came down because it was just holding on by like his fingernail was what was holding it. So there was just a thread left of it. What was great is he stopped whining as soon as we got in the car. Like as soon as he had some acknowledgement that we were doing something about it. And as the freaking doctor, throws a couple of needles in there and then is like literally stitching him up. He's watching it the whole time, puts just watching an amusement, not making noise, not whining, fussing, and then puts one cast basically over it just to keep that thing. So first thing he does with this blue cast is turns to me and pew, pew, pew. But
old Mega Man.
It's great, just Iron Man. But so I was going. The point that tangent me onto that is the human body is resilient. Kids can freaking regrow fingers like almost near. But the human spirit is even more resilient, and we're going to be okay as a collective, and individually we each get the choice of where we end up landing in that. But the 3D printing, that was my point. The 3D printing of houses is that's going to take away the real estate games that they're playing. And real estate is one of those fundamental, literally funding the mentals. It's one of those fundamental places like where you need a place to rest and have your stuff. So if they can take advantage of you freaking having to trade your time, energy, attention, and money for, just having a place to sleep, then they're taking it away from you being able to build your own desires, dreams, do whatever. They're making you play their games instead of being able to figure out the games that you want to play.
Hey, I got a question for you on the real estate stuff, which is that I'm a big 3D printing guy. Like back in college, I was one of the resident experts. Like hell, I even have like some resin stuff here. But when it comes to the 3D printing of housing, do you think it's the 3D printing technology that's limiting it, or do you think it's the actual like ability to have land to put it on? Is one of these the more limiting factor, do you think?
Neither one.
Neither one.
It's the gold. Yeah, it's the golden rule, and it's not the nice golden rule. It's he who has the gold makes the rules, and all of the politicians who have time, to run for office and make the laws and the regulations and the tax codes that run whether or not these projects are able to break ground are not currently, as a general collective, incentivized to make those things happen. They're more incentivized to get in the way, to be obstruct. That's why a lot of the 3D printing is getting iterated elsewhere, and then some of it is kind of getting brought back here. I'll be honest, more if you like peek behind the curtain, the stuff that's getting brought here, the utility of it is not because of its efficiency here. Those resources would be better used elsewhere. But the utility here comes from the marketing that they can get from having something here, because America has all of the capital and the eyeballs. So so here's the engine for them to continue the research and development while they actually go do it elsewhere. And then hopefully eventually, people are able to bring, but no, the what's getting in the way is going to be exactly what's getting in the way of PulseChain right now, to put it simply. Like, it's not that it can't be done. It's that there's stupid people with stupid ideas who have the ability to push buttons that maybe they shouldn't. And not That's enough fair. People who could be executing it being encouraged, literally given the courage to enact it. Instead, they're actively being all of the type of people that it would take to execute these types of experimentation and iteration are the exact type of people that are being just told to shut the fuck up. Is like the blunt way to put it. Sit down, shut up, let other people do it. Who the fuck are you? What do you know? You're not the expert. Get out of the way. Cede your consent and your authority, or else. No, it's there. It's waiting for human hands. The short answer is the technology is there. It's waiting for human hands to go pick it up, put it to work, and tell other human hands to get the fuck out of the way. So.
That's fair. I just wanted to ask, like, in your experience, do you see that like how bad is the issue of new constructions being stopped by either like zoning boards, HOAs, or people just not liking how like the technology looks? Because I mean, if you don't like layer lines in your 3D prints on a FDM printer, you might not appreciate the layer lines on a home unless it's like finished on the outside and inside, which obviously it is to a degree. It's just a question of like, there's the unfortunate reality is that a lot of people have really bit the line on the idea that your house is an investment asset, and it's a good way to build wealth. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, the point of the house is not to be an investment asset that appreciates over time to a degree that it like drastically outpaces the regular market or anything. You can have legitimate business function through utilizing properties to like generate income or something, but just having a house and then expecting it to sell 30 years later for like 3 or 4 times the cost you bought it for, it just seems untenable to the point where lower cost constructions actively take away from that idea. So it's vehemently opposed by people that kind of already are a bit more established in the system, so to speak.
I want to parse out a couple of things. So
hit me.
Your first question, it's both and as above, so below. So HOAs are, you know, they're their own freaking evil. But you go all the way up, like Tesla had aspirations to give us free electricity, but it didn't happen because why? If you talk about free energy or anti-gravity or certain technologies, even non-pneumatic tires was shut down by Michigan. So you have to, I don't need a Boeing hitman showing up right now. There are things that happen top down, bottom. So be aware of that. Buddy, I'm trying to do something. Okay, so that was on whether it was, you know, just people on the I don't want my home value being diminished because of the Karen next door, or if it's actual like zoning things. It's both, and it's just people with their own. It's people with their own humanity playing out in different stories at different levels. But the other thing is, you were mentioning like, so I'm going to parse out the difference between cost and value, because you were a little bit unintentionally, unconsciously intermingling those two.
No, this is a good differentiation.
And the reason that that was obvious to me is because you mentioned the cost of your house being 3 or 4 times what it would be, you know, and so the numbers are historically doubling every 20 years. And then and people think it goes like this, but it ends up going like this. And I don't know if that's actually right on the screen, but anyways, that's actually not a function of the value of your house. Now, the value of your house, you should be able to, I'm going to offer this. Idealistically, you should be able to depend on your home, your hearth, your home, the place that you rest your head, the place that you execute your life, that you put enough care into it, that over time, the value of that home would retain its value and or have been added to by your efforts and stewardship and management of that house. So that's how I was going to initially object to what you were saying, until I heard your articulation of it saying, you know, being 3 or 4x after X number is untenable. That's actually irrelevant, because that is not a function of the value of it. That's a function of the creature from that's a function of the cost, which is a function of the creature from Jekyll Island, which is a function of the Federal Reserve and their plan to inflate the debt away. They never plan to pay it off. The plan is to inflate it away. What actually wins in inflation? The debt holders, because they got to use the money when it was worth more, and when they have to pay it off later, the same number amount, it's less to pay it off. So it actually behooves you to hold debt in an inflationary, if you're using it wisely. That's why the system that we're in right now, you get Dave Ramsey's telling people no debt, and then you get the people coming out of it that are like, use business debt. And so what happens is you get people that get tempted by business debt, but they can't handle their personal shit, and they get thrown into hell, and then they need a Dave Ramsey and that type of discipline just to get back up to normal. Yep. This is a function of the system and the incentives that we're in. The home costs that people are facing is a function of both the creature from Jekyll Island, the value of money, and the cost. So the relative, what happens to the, this is a term that John uses all the time that a lot of people get on his ass about. Ratios, it's the ratio between those two things that's actually, and it's people not knowing their measuring stick. They're actually tricked in their measuring stick. So they end up getting tricked. But the other side of it is there are actual economics at play. For example, in order for construction to keep up with population, the system would need to understand and integrate that population happens at an exponential rate and be able to accommodate for that fact. But we have such a disjointed system full of fucking idiots doing things that don't make sense that if we can't even do simpler level stuff, we're not going to reach that level of integration. So we gotta handle the stuff below at the base of the pyramid, get solid foundation, and then we can build our way up. But again, all of these opportunities and potentials are out there. It's just waiting for people to care enough to spend their time, energy, attention investing into it and then exchanging with the world to make it happen. At least the world that we all inhabit. Any of y'all can tap into any of these worlds that I'm describing by closing your eyes and pretending. But if you want to affect the world that we all inhabit together, literally that our habits, the denser part of us that continues and that it takes a bit more work. If you find something, if you've let some fat accumulate on you into the physical realm, it takes more work to get rid of it because it took more work to get there. It's just a densification of energy. But I'm gonna go take care of this puppy. Let you guys chat for a second.
Sure. I was gonna ask, do we feel equipped to handle this question from Hannibal Lecter? He's asking, what are the long-term implications of 3D printing on global supply chains, considering its potential to decentralize manufacturing to reduce transportation costs from traditional production methods?
That's a question for
our
our guy. Yeah,
I'm gonna say lots of things. What do you think, Johnny?
Give me just a second here, guys. I can't stick around. I really just popped on because you kind of called me out, so I just wanted to say hi and thanks, guys. And I got really sucked into the depths of things here, and I didn't want to take off and be rude. I see I'm already.
Thank you, Johnny. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. And I see that I'm getting trolled in the chat here. I guess this Lizelle person says, I was a Hex Telegram admin for Richard, and I banned Johnny twice. He's a complete jerk. Guess what? I don't know who you banned, but I was never in Hex Telegram.
There you go. Excellent.
And as far as John being weird, you know the difference between weird and eccentric? About 10 million bucks. So,
yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to say, great show, guys. It's great to hear that we've got some intellectuals out there in the bunch, and that people do appreciate some of the stuff that I put out there. And unlike some of the people in the chat that would just rather me go, you want me to go away? You really want me to stop cheering for your bags? I wonder about these people sometimes. It's just kind of insane.
Fuck them. They don't exist.
They don't exist. I know, it's funny.
We'll hit them up. Hit up David.
Oh, fucking, we're Dapson David.
Boom.
There we go.
No, this one's for Zenith right there. I'm trying to get over in the corner.
We're really trying to fist bump here.
There we go. Yeah.
Oh, with our powers combined.
Boom. We got it.
There we go.
All four of us.
All right, guys.
Well, thank you for joining us, Johnny.
Awesome.
Take it easy,
and
boss.
I will see you in Twitter Spaces. Take care.
Love and light, man.
All righty.
See you out there, brother.
Excellent. What a cool. So Hannibal Lecter has the question for you, David. Did you happen to hear it whilst?
Could you pull it back up? I kind of heard it a little bit. 3D printing global supply chains, considering a potential decentralized manufacturing and reduced transportation costs. Yeah. So here's a Snapple fact. Pandemic, COVID-19. What might be let's get conspiratorial for a second from a just thinking theoretically from a first principles basis. An oil-driven economy that's facing a future decentralization of manufacturing where oil is so integral into the supply chain that everything from your food to your house costs more because of the gas that it costs to transport it, the lumber to get it there. Oil is so central to our economy. Some people might consider that the pandemic was a bit of a test case scenario on the impacts of shutting down or transitioning to some of the next iterations and phases of technologies that they have coming out. There are some books. The Fourth Turning is a good one. Also, if you just want to read the World Economic Forum's books, they have them out there. You can read their fucking shit. Like there's one
their little
called
plans.
Like they tell you what they're trying to do, and they tell you their justifications. And if you can sit down and entertain a different ideology in your mindset without the reactivity of your own ideology keeping you from being able to see the likely outcomes, whether they're intended or unintended, then you'll have a better map to be able to pick up the pieces and play your own game. Because that's one of the things I'm here to do, is help us all play better games. You know, Kool-Aid is our game dev buddy, and
Yes.
we're both in a family together, actively helping to play. Hey, buddy. Sorry, my puppies are being distracting right now. Like I said, baby girl is in heat, and it's just got big boy all riled up. He actually earlier today, I got him, and it started like because he's all riled up, he kind of bared at me a little bit, and then he realized what he did, and he was like, "Oh shit!" Like he was so apologetic afterwards. I was like, "I know, I look, I get it, buddy. You're riled up right now. It's instinct." But I'm gonna take care of them really quickly. But the question on the decentralized, so 3D printing is going to impact our manufacturing across the board. There's a lot of just strangleholds that have happened in that. All of the licensing stuff. So if you think of Hollywood, a lot of its money doesn't even come from the movies that they put out, for example, but from the product lines of the intellectual property that they're able to use those movies as a marketing platform for. As a matter of fact, there's a thing called Hollywood accounting, which is literally just using the tax codes that all these movies that all these stars get paid, all these people get these lavish experiences for the pay, but then the taxing at the end of the day is net loss. Somehow they always end up losing money, but it's still like because again, it's by design. 3D printing is huge. It's going to give people the opportunity to, I mean, even just think about how weapons laws are impacted by 3D printing. How can you enforce? Laws are only as good as their enforcement. And when you have a file that is distributable, that people can make, you know, whatever they want, whether it's a projectile weapon or some other kind, like, and people get all wrapped up because anyways, like, you're not going to be able to control those things as much anymore. Like, and 3D printing taken to its extreme. Hey, Dan Brown's books, he's known for Da Vinci Code and like Angels and Demons but he has a couple of others, like Digital Fortress, I think is the one. So in his books, like all those landmarks and the technologies are based off of real life things. And one of the technologies in one of his books is talking about 3D printing at the chemical level for medicinal compounds. So for basically being able to rearrange chemical compounds so that you could so you have the components that you can make aspirin, you can make ibuprofen, you can make, you know, antihistamines, etc. When you think about it, it's just rearranging. Like you go down to the molecular, if you get something down to the molecular level and you can rearrange and print at that level, then you're literally talking about being able to print. I mean, that's going to cause all kinds of issues for the drug war, which it sounds like some politicians are trying to capitalize on again, which is a whole hoax nonsense. I'm
a big fan of 3D printing myself, but I'm also not going to pretend that it's going to magically render everything else just like utterly useless. Because one of the
material science
is very important, but we also have such a long history of really building out all the different manufacturing processes that already exist. So this is obviously additive manufacturing, but the forms of subtractive manufacturing that like we've been working on for a long time, they're very good at very specific things, and 3D printing can also be very good at other very specific things.
Exactly.
I don't think it's not going to replace it, but it can absolutely help add to it.
Right. It's not gonna, and that's the thing is people that want to put it into a false dichotomy are missing the point. It's an integration, not.
It's a new tool in the toolbox.
It's and the people who can integrate healthy competition, get over the, adversarial competitive spirit and integrate that, they can see the pros and cons of both sides. And then you can implement 3D printing into traditional manufacturing, and then you can get the integration of the customization with the economies of scales and the convenience of established infrastructure. That's the thing is we need infrastructure. We've got we're habituated to so much luxury and so much privilege, like so much opportunity, that we kind of let some of the like maintenance stuff, the more boring stuff. Like we need progress as almost like our cultural addiction, and we need such a big hit of it to even realize it anymore, even though it's happening around us all the time. It's like we don't even notice it because we're so again, we've been drowned in so much progress happening that we've been flooded more than our brains, our meat suits, our physiology is designed for. Our brains grew up in communities that were local and linear. If you learned a specialty, your family had a value that you could pass on that was good through at least your grandchildren's, lifetime. Right now, you go to college, at least half of what you learn is obsolete by the time you graduate. And here's the problem. Absolutely nobody knows which half. So, what's happening? What's happening
That's a good point. I like that.
That's a great way to put it. I fucking like it.
Gosh.
Are you
Okay, I'll remember
me
one point in a minute.
Studied all this junk for nothing.
In the process, hopefully you were
Yes.
appreciative and enjoying and refining the process of learning, because it sounds so silly to say learning how to learn is what's going to serve you best. But all of those, that's what school is about. It's not about what you're learning. It's about the practice of learning. Especially since it's gone into what it's done now. And I won't get into those tangents at the moment, but no, the answer to your question is no, it's not worthless, because even putting in those reps of the process and getting the feedback on your own ability to set a target for what you believe the world around you is or could be, and then going through the actions and then getting the extra data and the feedback to see how accurate you're able to predict the future. The best way to predict the future, guys, is to create it. So we all have the opportunity here, to quote Richard Hart, he wants to change the world, needs people to participate. And that's what we're here doing. We're engaging and participating, and hopefully doing our best to, take the inputs that we have, come here, brainstorm, bull sesh together, throw stuff on the table. And here's a fucking protocol for all y'all that are out there acting like Bloods and Crips, trying to shank each other on the street because you're all anxious about, you don't know how to handle your emotions in a bear market. This shit ain't look, we're at a buffet. If you like the prime and the guy sitting next to you is a vegan, you don't got to stab him in order for us to sit and commune at the buffet and enjoy each other's company and do cool. You're not helping. You're making the people around you uncomfortable with your nonsense. Please stop. Thank you. So that's for all y'all, again, out there acting like fucking Latin kings and MS-13, and you ain't. So stop.
Yeah,
Internet warriors.
Will and I actually talked about this on the book club we did just before this. We were talking about the Toyota Way, and one of the things about the Toyota Way is that they describe a process, or the Japanese word for waste, which is muda. And the other definition that they use for it is the idea that in order to eliminate muda, you eliminate activities in your production line that do not add value to the customer. So one of the ways that we related it to crypto was, look, if you're doing all your online stuff, and all of us claim to be big fans of onboarding. So if the mission is onboarding, to look at it from the system of eliminating muda, it is examine your efforts and understand that are the messages that you put out and all the interactions that you have on the internet, or primarily Twitter, because that's where we do this apparently. But are these actions adding value to potential people you're trying to onboard, or is this going to scare them off, or is it just going to muddle the signal? Like, where does this fall on the scale of that? Because if the goal is onboarding, which a lot of us claim it is, you got to make sure that you're staying on mission and staying focused and trying to eliminate all the stuff that's going to detract from your mission.
Yep. Tiago Forte has a program called Second Brain, building a digital second brain.
We're covering that book in the near future. I fucking love him.
There you go.
Thank you, David.
And he has an acronym called. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Everyone should go read his shit. But please continue. You probably know a whole lot more than I do, because I only just recently found it.
His acronym is for code. A man has to have a code, right? Code, CODE. So for the second brain, his pneumatic, yeah, whatever. Pneumatic is air. Mnemonic, thank you. Is capture, organize, distill, express. That's his. Yep. And for the creative process is actually how he articulates it. First, you capture your raw materials, then you organize it, distill it into the message that you're trying to express, and then you are able to express it. So there's nothing new under the sun, guys. All of you guys that are suffering the imposter syndrome because you're picking up tidbits from here and there, and you're like, this is someone else's shit. I'm stealing. It's like, look, if you're not intentionally, you don't have to. if you're not intentionally capitalizing, people know when you're being shitty. If you're not doing that, it's fine. Don't be afraid to take things of value, things that have resonated with you, and share them with other people. Sharing is caring, and care is key. I say this all the time. What you care enough about to pay attention to, spend your time on, and exchange, your energy or money. The universal exchange, the game that we're all playing here, comes from Mon I, which comes from the myth of Odin and Horus and all these other things. And if you understand the etymology of the root word of the game that we're playing, the money game, maybe you'll be able to actually understand the rules and why some of the things that you're thinking aren't happening a little bit better. Maybe you can integrate the other eye and have another perspective, that it's not all about the money. Money is a tool that's to be integrated into what we're doing. But to circle back to Tiago Forte and then back to Zenith, code, capture, organize, distill, express. If you're attempting to onboard, whenever you have that creative impulse to share a message with somebody, capture first the creative impulse and then capture what you think is going to be that bridge that helps draw them in. Organize it, distill it in a way that is unique enough to be most likely to land with them based off of what you know. That's you. And sure, this takes a little bit extra time, energy, effort, and attention. It takes a little bit more care. It shows that you actually care. If you're not willing to do it, you don't care. That's like, so just face that truth within yourself and then move forward from there. Either choose to care more or choose to realize in your story to yourself what you actually care about. In action, you act in alignment, allied with what you actually do. So code, if you're trying to onboard, capture, organize, distill, express. I've played with it a little bit as well, because capture can sound a little bit militant. So I put it in application to other things. So for example, you could use a same mnemonic with something like collect, observe, discern, emulate. Because what better way to spend a life than finding and preserving models that are worth emulating through your own biological interactions with other people at Hex meetups. You're model what you want to see more of in the world, model what you would like to see emulated. You can do tit for tat, but that's going to keep getting, if you study game theory, tit for tat is going to continue the whole world's going to go blind. That's how it fucking ends. If you want to play a better game, if you want to rise above it and do a better way, there are better iterations available. And the human spirit has experimented with these ideas in the spiritual realm. The cool thing about humans biologically as a physical species among other beasts is that we're one of the few species that is able to effectively accumulate knowledge cumulatively as effectively as we do. That's why we get the privilege to live in these luxurious states where we don't have to, where we literally get to say, I don't like water. Like, who the fuck does it? You need water to survive, but people don't associate themselves with drinking water or liking it because it's so easy and available that if you had to fucking walk 8 hours to get it, carry that shit on your head and boil it before you could, use it, and your body needs it and screaming for it.
Appreciation there.
You would notice it more for sure. So there'd be more opportunity to appreciate it. Now, thankfully, our ancestors have done a bunch of silly shit and a bunch of cool shit that's created the world that we get to come into, look at what they've done and say, hey, some of that shit that they did is worth repeating. And some of that shit's worth maybe trying something a little bit different or a little bit better. So
I love getting you on your tangents, bro.
Thank you.
That was hard.
I like being appreciated.
The eye for an eye thing, that always cracks me up. The tit for tat game theory makes the whole world blind, except for the very last
eye for an eye, whole world goes blind.
Yeah, only one guy's got one eye left, and then the other guys can't stab him because they can't see.
And then do you know the end of that little fable? What ends up happening, like the end result? There's another aphorism that sums it up. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Yep.
So the trick is to just be the last guy.
Last guy standing.
Eyeball.
Yep.
So you got to have the endurance. I had a soldier tell me once I put the Dur in endurance. My last name is Dur, guys. Dur. My middle name is Lee. So,
oh my God!
Tell people I was a born leader. Dur.
Oh my God!
This first thing a drill sergeant ever said to me. And by the way, that drill sergeant, because I did RGC, I had enough military bearing not to look down at his name tag when he was during me. But when I did find out his name later, just like the fucking movies, I had a drill sergeant Tough, and a drill sergeant buff, short for buffer. But so I had drill sergeant tough. First thing he ever said to me, "Durr." Okay, buddy. I didn't go through middle school. First time I'm hearing that one. At West Point, they put last name, first initial, middle initial. So I was Dirty L. But we had another dude that it took him 3 weeks to figure out why his platoon sergeant would bang his door every time he walked by, because it was bang M-E. So his door was literally saying bang me.
Bang me.
Oh
my God.
But no,
That's
I tell
awesome.
people I was born a leader, or David Elder, respect your elders, whatever.
Bro, that's perfect.
That's good stuff, dude.
That is
Oh,
so
man.
useful.
I mean, if the kids are gonna fucking make fun of me for it, I'm gonna look at it, switch the ingredients around, and have a clapback. That's just alchemy. That's the way it goes, bro. Take your shit and compost that shit into fertilizer, and then build beautiful gardens. Get some moringa trees, because those things are literal miracle trees, and then maybe some mint plants, towers. You don't need money to do this. You can, and if you really need to start from ground up survival, like just being able to do microgreens and mason jars. Again, if you have a good source of water, which ubiquitous here, but no, people are out trading their lives through the rat race because they believe that the way that they need to be able to nourish their bodies is through the process that was taught to them in school by people who maybe didn't know any better. And maybe people who didn't know any better, people who didn't know any better, and people who did. That's the truth. There were some who didn't know any better, had their best interests at heart, but the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And then there are others who knew exactly what the fuck they were doing, thought of people as useful idiots. There are people out there who have a philosophy of, if a sucker falls for a sucker's bet, then they deserve it. I detest that, but you have to, just because I detest it doesn't mean I get to pretend that it doesn't exist. It's out there. Yeah. I mean, I can pretend, but then I'll suffer the consequences, and they suck. So I'm not going to do that.
True. Hey, gentlemen, we are coming up on the 2
2
hour
hours
mark here. So
Boom.
let's hit some chats, because we got a lot of people that had some good messages for us.
Hang on. I'm almost done. I've been preparing some pork this whole time, so I don't want you guys watching me go through the chopping process. But hang on, Zenith. Before you get to chats, it's time for chat shoutouts, ladies and gentlemen. The best part of the show. All right, I'm going cameraless again here. Keep going, though.
For sure. All right, let's hit the starred ones, top to bottom. We got a bunch. First off, Tin Top. Is that the first one we got? I see Matt on here, but this one works. He said we were referring to the enigma that was referenced in some of the SEC drawings, court documents earlier. The Hex.com diamond. True. First up, we got Matty Allin, Hex Therapy Live, saying, "Sup, y'all, about to be driving, but glad you guys are live. Good to see you, brother. I hope your stream over with Charlie at Cultivate Crypto went very well today. He was live with Charlie on Cultivate Crypto, so go check out that stream. I think it happened. Thanks. It was Meme Coin Friday, so I'm sure they got plenty of requests to talk about stuff over there.
Thank you for everything you do, Matty.
Absolutely. The man puts on the Hex and Pulse conference, so hats off to that. That's the herding cats for sure.
To say the least.
All right, next one. We got Hex Fetty saying, yo, yo, yo. Good to see you, sir. Excellent profile picture. I like that tie. All right, up next we have the recently departed, not dead, but just had to go do better things, Johnny Chaos, saying gross misuse of power was the word that the judge used in the debt box case that we talked about earlier. Up next, we got one Hexy Mofo. He says, it's just a shame that the SEC will not have to pay Hexicans and PulseChainers when they are found to have had a frivolous lawsuit. Yeah, unfortunately, that's how it goes when working with the government. And by the way, for anybody that was looking at Nuclear Herbs' Twitter, he was absolutely losing it when he was reading the SEC response. And the SEC response was like, well, the token's now virtually worthless, so people really lost a lot of money. And then he was screaming at the top of his lungs, like, who made it worthless? You sued us, and it dropped. It's like, they're partly responsible for it. The SEC single-handedly scared people away, so it's not nothing there. All right, up next, Chris Topher, the Black Richard Hart profile picture, saying, here for the first time, this is a cool panel. Agreed, this is a very cool panel. I hang out with this guy a lot, but it's also very fun to actually hang out with Moondog on stream, so super glad to do that.
Right.
There you go. All right, up next, we got T-Bird. We will win. Agreed, good sir.
Yep.
We will absolutely win.
Taking 2 L's and I put them together and I look at them different. Oh, damn, it's a W.
Hey, there we go. Maz Mori has had a specific little ribbing for Kareem, and we were talking about the SEC case in Brooklyn and how it's going to be a very tight security for the courtroom, and he was letting Kareem know no ammo in court. It's like
That's
okay.
an important piece of advice.
Too soon? Question mark?
It's never too soon. It could be happening, and I'd be making jokes about it.
Not too soon because we're all friends. We all
Yep,
love each
there
other.
we go.
Thick skin enough to take the box of bullet means he's got
There
it.
you go. Attaboy.
I believe in you, Kareem. You can handle it.
Next one.
Don't let these haters get at you. It's not worth it.
It's all love. It's all love, brother.
Yep.
All right, up next, good friend of ours and good friend of Discourse Syndicate, I believe. That is Crypto Stylist. Hello. She also did a stream recently with Rags to Riches. She's started streaming more recently, so go check out her channel. She puts out some great content. By the way, the first stream she did back might involve me. I'm not self-promoting here, but like, we like her a lot, and I think she does good work. So
You always remember
Absolutely.
your first, right, Zenith?
exactly. Oh God. That's going to get clipped out of context. Let's try to breeze past.
All right.
Tin Top with the Hex.com Diamond. Yes, Tin Top. I didn't realize that you're a mod for the channel as well. There you go.
Hell yeah.
Congratulations. And
Good to see
shout
you.
out to the rest of the wrench gang out there. I'm not cool enough to be a wrench gang yet, but I don't know. I am hosting, so
Just
I
a
don't know what
host.
that means. Just
There you
doing
go.
community service.
One
I
of
needed
these
RG3 to
days.
sign off on some hours for me, so he asked me to do this. Yeah.
I got a screwdriver if you want. You could be part of Screwdriver Gang. It's a
have-
gear wrench, so it's the good stuff.
I have calipers on my desk, but I don't have a wrench anywhere. What is wrong with me? I thought I was an engineer.
Oh, I have a huge wrench in the back, actually, over in the
Go grab it. Go grab
back
it.
half
All
of
right.
the
While he's
conics.
grabbing that, let's go on to the next one.
That shows how militantly hierarchical RG runs his shit. You can host, even though you don't even have a wrench yet.
Gotta earn that.
There you
All right, up next we got Logi33. He says, I just bought a burger today at McDonald's and went full Karen. What did you do with my $20? Oh.
I felt bad. I went full Karen on I had a fridge that was supposed to be delivered yesterday, and it was all food bar. The automatic system didn't work. I finally got to a human, and they're telling me next Friday, and I'm like, no, it was supposed to be yesterday. You don't get just to tell me your next event. So I went a little bit Karen to unfortunately get it done, and then to trigger the things to get it pushed to the next phase. And then I was like, thank you for your like.
There
You wouldn't have done it if I didn't do what I had to do, but it has a time and place. Being a Karen.
I got wrenches for everyone. They got W's on them though. So I got
Why do
Uh,
the wrenches have W's on them?
so that way I know they're mine.
For Will? W for Will? There we
Yeah.
go. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. All
Well,
right.
my spud
And
wrench
winning.
doesn't have a W. But
Winning.
yeah.
I thought
Those
there
are
was
his
more
winning
reference to
riches.
that. As soon as I said W for Will, I went, oh God, I sound like an
It's
idiot.
no. It's
Bro,
to
have
help
you
Will
ever been
remember.
on a fucking construction site and someone uses someone's tool and they don't put it somewhere and then it's like, ah, fuck, where's all my goddamn tools at? And then if
assume-
you don't have your shit carved into it, then it's like they can walk away. And it's never malice. It's always like we're just stupid and we like, oh, a tool. I need a tool right now. I'm not gonna put it back where I found it. So
No, I know
I thought it
exactly
was
what
just-
that is.
I thought it was just Will remembering how to spell wrench. That it has a W. in
yes,
there.
I do need to put the W on there to remember how to spell a wrench.
No,
That's
Will,
what it
I know exactly what you're talking about. People fighting over tools. When I was on the ship, there was the great battle between auxiliary gang and main propulsion, where you would look at a wrench and you see that like someone sharpied on it, like A gang, and then that got crossed out and wrote main prop in silver over the top, and then someone took an actual scribe and scratched into it A gang back over that, and it's like, my God, this thing is. People fight wars over this wrench right here.
Oh yeah, bro.
Ridiculous. All right, we got a few more, and then we're gonna get out of here. Keep them coming, please, Mrs. Producer. I believe we have the Silver Sailor Plan Plus, also part of Wrench Gang. It says, boom! What's up, Hexicans? Good to see you, sir. Apologies, but your emojis did not come through. But we did get the explosions. Also, nice profile picture. That's hot.
Explosion,
Ooh, that's
salute, and then a
good.
crown.
Oh, okay.
Very nice, very nice. I thought this next one was an attempt to try to get me with a joke. We have Patrice Von Paris. He says, good day, ladies and gents. And I was like,
Nuts.
this feels like a trap. This feels like a trap. All right, up next we have the alleged Hex Telegram mod who banned Johnny, but we'll see. He's saying weird. That's weird. Okay.
Allegedly.
All right.
Imposters
Lizelle.
everywhere, guys.
True. Lizelle, you gotta show us proof of kill. If you have the scalp, show us. Otherwise, Pixar didn't have them, bro.
Yeah,
Hey,
find the screenshots if you
I
have them and send them to Johnny Chaos so that he is
Check
aware
this
of the
out, bro.
imposter using his name.
I too can type words on the internet. Wow. Nifty, huh? Pixar doesn't have
Just
it.
be aware. That's the idea. It sounds like he might have, gotten aware that maybe something was happening that he wasn't, that he overassumed in the beginning. So
That's true. Text, the medium of text is not good for jokes and sarcasm if you're trying to tell it like that. So I couldn't tell the difference. Don't know. Could be playful ribbing. Who knows? We'll give people
Gotta
the
use
benefit of the doubt.
emojis.
How about that? Emojis, yes.
Yep.
All right, up next we got Logi33. He says, I identify as a T-share maxi. Agreed.
Ooh,
I
my
think-
man.
Shout out to Kool-Aid. He dropped this knowledge on me. He said, if you are not actively staking Hex, you are actively missing out on the functionality of the token you're holding. Otherwise,
Yeah,
it's
correct.
just a meme coin that
Hex.
inflates.
yeah,
Yep.
Hex's utility is to acquire T-shares, which is the actual asset that you want to be holding. That's why everybody that's screwed up over the Hex, the T-share price chart, understand the T-share mechanics, then organize your energy accordingly.
T-share cost
And
goes
that's
one
why-
direction.
People buy all those HSIs all the time. So
Oh yeah.
shout out to Alex
At a
for
discount.
creating icosahedron and giving me the opportunity to snag up those juicy
Yeah.
T-shirts.
Giving other people the opportunity, giving people an opportunity to liquidate whenever they realize that their expectations aren't going to meet reality, and other people to sweep it,
Yep.
and that value being having a method to be transferred to hands that are most likely to care about it in a way that to continue
Yes.
to care about it. That's what Hedron
100%.
Protocol does in a nutshell. So
Uh-huh.
I think the
I
HSIs
love it.
are going to be the next step forward for Hex functionality. I think it's kind of a bit of a shame that like all the Hedron Icosa stuff didn't quite like pop off and sustain as much as we hoped for. But the technology's there. It's there, man. I
It's
can
there.
see it.
it's
Well, the
inevitable.
HSI
And
that is the thing that the Icosa and Hedron are built off of is the HSI. Like without the HSI, Hedron and Icosa are fucking like what's the point? So
It's true, but it's more of the functionality, which is that Hedron and Icosa give you additional functionality to your Hex stakes. So instead of just having a one-dimensional feature, it's the opportunity to create an ecosystem around this thing that gives you so much more ability and capability. I hope it works out. I really do.
for sure.
Alrighty, we gotta keep going. Hannibal Lecter, he says, "I will have you all for dinner."
That's a
where
pun.
where's
he's
the
punning with
comma,
us.
though? He did. He is. I see that. All right. Up next, we got Surf and
Wrench
Coin. He
Gang.
says housing prices vary a lot based on on location. Where I'm at, high prices keep new owners from obtaining not much else. I've been a realtor for almost 30 years, mostly up last 10 years plus here. Shoot. Well, tell you what. Next time we're on, or next FN Hangout,
Hop
come on
on.
and chat with us.
Join
We'd
us.
love to pick your brain about real estate stuff. I think
yeah.
it's one of those areas I always want to learn more. I think I'm doing pretty okay in the crypto sphere, but we got to buy a house at some point, so I need to learn more there. Alrighty, up next we got Half and Half. It says Johnny, up to November 2019, the only Hex group in existence then was Hex Telegram group. So saying you were a D1 guy, well, back in October 2019, you sent out a Richard Hart memo for Bitcoin holders on Telegram. Okay,
Sure. Cool.
I can't disprove you, so I'll take your word for it.
Those are some good words on the internet. I have read them.
Copy.
Next one.
I don't know if they're true or if they're not. I have read them though.
Yeah, copy. That's my, received.
Received.
Yes. Pulse
Up next.
Jitsu with Massive Duel. Tell me your secrets.
Hey, shout
it wouldn't be
out to
secret.
Camel Clan. I think he successfully launched a new token this week. So hats off to people building projects. Building projects is hard. Building good projects is damn hard. So I'll tip the hat wherever I can on that one. Good job, sir.
Interested to see what they got. Yeah.
Everybody.
For true. All right, up next we got Sugar B 33 saying good morning. Good morning to you. You must be on the other side of the Greenwich date line from
The Meridian thing.
Prime Meridian. That's what it is. Thank you.
It's almost morning
International
where I'm
Dateline
at.
is the opposite one. Is it really? Well, yeah, I still got an hour and a half myself. I'm Mountain Time.
Yep. I got 32
Alrighty.
minutes.
A few more. Mrs. Producer kept loading these onto me because she heard I was trying to close. She's like, nah, you're going to talk to everybody, which is why we're here. So there we go. Yellowtail, good to see you. This is pronouns emulating these days. Yeah. True. All right, up next, we have someone's username, but that is actually a trap. It's Joe Mama. Been here since day one, still up 35x. Teehee.
Nice.
There you go.
Good stuff, bro. Glad to hear it.
True. Finally, last but not least, we have Hextech16 of the Prosperity Project. Says, shout out to Internet Money Wallet, where you can make passive pulse during a bear market. Yeah, shout out to KG and the rest of the Internet Money gang. I think they make cool stuff over there, and I think they're cool dudes. So,
yep.
Slime
And
Whale. Slime Whale IO. That's a profile picture.
Slime Whaleo. It's
All right,
probably
fair.
it's probably a cool cat doing cool things, but he's throwing up the piece. So he's cool. He's a cool dude
Peace.
by my book.
All right, boys,
This
let's get out of here.
Needs something different than this piece.
That's true. That's true. All right, we're going to start closing out the show. David, where can the folks find you at? What do you got going on?
Oh, I'm around. You'll find me if you need to find me. I have an open door policy on my DARPA life log. I mean, Facebook, Meta, whatever the Mockingjays are calling it these days, about if you have a specific quest you're on, how my door is open with certain caveats. Feel free to knock upon it and question. So otherwise, love and light. I'm around Hexico. I'll be here. You know, I got 4 kiddos, so I'm highly incentivized to continue doing my part in building better games for us all to play, and then for them to be able to engage in and again do their thing, whatever they're going to do. I'm just here to get the gift and opportunity to witness. So that's my spiel. It's love and light, day and night.
I like it.
Excellent. Alrighty, Will, brother, what do you got going on?
In the near future, the folks can find me doing everything in the DGen Roundtable coming up on Sunday. Right up here. You guys can see that youtube.com/@DGen Roundtable. We go live every 8 p.m. or every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. So on Sunday, we're doing our flagship show. We're going to be covering a lot of the news that's happened over the week. It'll be a good time. It'll be a fun time. It'll be a great time. Apart from that, you guys can find me in a little community that I created right down here. This is bit.ly/hex_meetup. You can also do t.me/hex_meetup. But the bit.ly one will direct you straight to a little start here tab that I have started inside that little Telegram. So it'll tell you how, if you're a Hexican and you want to meet other Hexicans and organize your own little meetups and stuff and find out who's in the area nearby you, then just go to this link, t.me/hex_meetup or bit.ly/hex_meetup and read through the chats, find out how it works over there, and go interact with some other Hexicans and have yourself some kick-ass, awesome, small-scale meetings. I've met up with a whole bunch of people in several different places. There's been a whole bunch of meetups that have kicked off totally separate from my involvement. So I'm glad to see that Telegram chat working and everyone having a good time. That's all I got. Zenith, what's new and exciting with you in the near future, and where can the folks find you?
Folks, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ZenithDI. I've been posting a good bit on all the Richard Hart's legal stuff coming out. So if you want that, check it out. Also, check out Nuclear Herbs, good buddy. He is the premier guy for the Richard Hart case stuff. Check him out on Twitter as well. Other than that, yeah, DGen Roundtable. Big thank you to RG3 for letting us come guest host, although we're trying to help out the community where we can. So yeah, we hope you have a good time in Burning Man, and there's a decent chance you might catch us next week because I hear RG3 is going to be gone for a hot minute. What you got, Will?
Yes. And I was just going to say, if you guys want to, you can use our code DGen for the PulseChain conference thing, like we gave you the commercial for earlier. If you guys go to pulsechain.com/events, and then you find the PulseChain conference March 6th through 9th of 2025, you guys can also use code RG3 because we are on the FN Hangout, and it does belong to him. So you guys can use his code and get that exact same discount. Everyone's got their own discount codes. Everyone's got their own stuff. So show RG3 some love. And if you're going to buy a ticket to the PulseChain tour, feel free to use RG3 promo code DGen. Either one of those. We love you guys all, and we thank you a whole lot for joining us here tonight. Zenith, take us away, broski.
Will do. Mrs. Producer, please get that trigger finger ready. But other than that, hey, hang out. We appreciate you guys spending time with us on a lovely Friday night. We know that time is your most valuable asset, so we appreciate you spending it with us anytime that you can. So until we catch you guys next time, I hope that everyone out there continues to DGen responsibly.
Love and light.